Things you own end up owning you.
What's going on, my friends? Welcome back to the podcast. Today's guest is Steve Bussinger. I heard about Steve through my friend Kyle Mamunis. Steve and Kyle host a podcast called Nutrition Deconstructed. If you haven't checked it out already, I can highly recommend it. It's a great podcast to listen to if you're interested in the nutrition sphere, and they cover a lot of different topics. This is my first time talking to Steve, so I just kind of wanted to get to know him. On my show, Steve and I talk about his visit to the motherland, Russia, of course, which I didn't know about. And we talk about his journey so far in the health world. We talk about his thoughts on Dr. Ray Peat and lots of other fun stories. I hope you enjoy this one.
Yeah, I wanted to move. I was going to go live in Russia because I was going to go to school in Russia.
Get the fuck out of here. Really?
Yeah.
So yeah, I was just gonna ask you about it. So like, I saw your Instagram and I was like, oh man, this motherfucker's been to Russia. Respect.
Yeah.
I saw you at the like Moskovsky Государственный университет, the Russian university, you know, and I was like, oh, this guy's been around. So how'd you end up in Russia?
Well, I mean, like, as far as like why I was interested in it, that's a longer story. But how I ended up there was, I decided to, basically, and it just so happened. So I was learning the language, and one of the channels that I was paying attention, following, Russian with Max. He's got a really good channel. His girlfriend was actually also the director of an English language camp. Mm-hmm. So they were just like, they were advertising it, and so I applied for it and got in, and so.
So you were out there for a few weeks, or how long were you out in Russia?
About 2.5 months.
Oh wow! So I thought you were just there visiting. So you really got to spend. So you know some Russian then. So let's hear it, man. Come on.
Yeah.
Привет, как дела? Как дела, Steve?
Хорошо.
Oh, nice. Very good. That's good. I like your R. You can roll your R. It's impressive.
Yeah.
That's like the hardest thing for Russians, that come here, learning English. The R's and the W's. It's a motherfucker. Because everything sounds like, like red, there you go. And then like W becomes, because we don't have that
Right.
We have a V, like a V. So we just say like vot instead of what. They say what, what are you talking about? And it's like this fucking,
Another one I like is there's not really like an equivalent for like our H sound, like hairy or like happy.
Yeah. So it's
So it's like happy. I'm happy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a few. English to Russian, not a good combo, and vice versa too. You know what I'm saying? Like there's certain languages, like for example, Spanish for a Russian, it's pretty good because you have like rojo, pendejo.
Yeah.
They have those sounds. Yeah. I think you can almost say.
I think like German too. Like German speakers can do a good Russian.
Yeah, German. Well, German has a lot of weird shit too in there. All the like schlafkin, like all the weird mouthy kind of words.
But yeah. But I meant like a German speaker could do good Russian.
Oh, Russian. Yeah. That's true. Yeah, but like the combo.
I think it's just Russian. I don't think like Russian speakers are really like suited to like
almost anything
to speak. Yeah.
What are you trying to say? No, but like I said, seriously, like Spanish is okay.
It just sounds so like it's very like particular. Like there's a very like actually when I was learning it. One of the books, they like go through like this, like basically like how to like position like your mouth basically to do it, like, and it's like
right,
and in like the Slavic languages in Russian, like you just hold your mouth in such a different way. That's why everything just sounds so different.
Yeah.
And I think like probably like stuff like Chinese is different too. Because
like
I remember
say that. Yeah.
I was like taking, so I was like doing the course, doing like an online course, and so there's obvious, and as like a foreign student, like all the foreign students going to Russia and whatnot, like most of them are like Chinese and a few from from like the Middle East and stuff like that. And so it was kind of interesting to hear like different foreign accents.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Chinese is
and I think like
the
like
most.
Chinese is like the same. It's the same thing. It's like they just sound dumb in like every language they speak.
Yeah, that one is like so far off. Like if you're a Western person, you know, if you're not Asian at all, like that one is just like completely off the map. Like Russian is at least somewhat accessible, I think. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But compared to Chinese, where they have like, you know, how they have the same word, but the what is it? The tone of it, like it's like the pitch. There we go. The pitch of it makes it a different word. Like what the fuck? Like that doesn't make any sense, you know, to like a Westerner. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like it. I was learning Chinese for a little bit, but it's just, it's very daunting, I think.
Yeah.
I guess, like, I would want to, like, I was doing, like, the Duolingo course, you know, for, like, a week or something like that. And I wanted them to, like, tell me, like, you know, how they get, like, from one symbol to the next. Like, what does this mean or whatnot? Because...
Nah, bro.
Like,
it's so complicated. No.
Yeah, there's got to be, like, some kind of, like, program to it. Because,
no way.
But... I guess not.
You know, with
I just
Japanese,
kind of
I have like a Japanese friend. I have a few. There's a whole Japanese area here and stuff in LA. And anyway, so I have a few Japanese friends. One of them was explaining to me the word for bush. And he like drew like, you know, whatever the characters are, right?
Yeah.
But it was like one like little stick, let's say, you know what I'm saying? Just like one little line. And then he said, if you want to say tree, it's like two little lines with the same other stuff around it. And then if you want to say forest, it's like three other lines. And so Japanese has some of that. And Japanese is, I think that one is, so you know what I'm saying? So, but seriously, he says a lot of words are like that, where it's like, if it's smaller, it's just less of the same thing. And if it's bigger, it's more of the same thing. And I thought that was really interesting.
There's got to be like some kind of order to it. It can't just be like be completely just like
but
I've
I've heard about Chinese that it's not like that at all. I heard Chinese doesn't make any sense. But again, I don't know. I don't speak.
I find it really interesting. Just like how they construct words. I can't remember anything like off the top of my head, but it's like I think like ni hao is
ni hao ma, right?
Well, like ni hao it's like good you. It's like a greeting, and like a literal translation is like how are you? Like, are you good? You know.
You mean it's not like an English word, so you're saying how are you? It's different.
Well,
there.
I don't even mean like that, because even in like Russian, a lot of the constructions are different.
Totally.
But
different.
just like how they develop like concepts, like I want to remember. It's like something about like how they say like good morning or something like that. Like it's almost like it's very what's the word? I guess like interrelational. Like you kind of like interpolate the meaning like based on like the different words in the sentence.
I can't think of an example of that, but I think I know what you're saying. But see what I'm saying though? It's like a completely different way of thinking. So that's why it's not so much as like learning the words and learning the alphabet. Like even with Russian, right? Like I bet you were like learning and you were like grammatically why?
Well, yeah, because the case system is
retarded. It really is.
I like it. I actually my personal theory is that like the ancient languages were all like that. Like ancient Greek, like Sanskrit and stuff like that. They all had like these highly complex like grammatical structure, and instead, like the modern like Western European languages, it's all done basically, or I call it like a kind of like I can't remember, like, but it's like an elaboration basically. So it's like in Russian most of the time, unless like you can express the same idea with a lot fewer words.
Yeah. Or you can interchange them. Like, for example, in English you say "I love you." In Russian you can say "Я тебя люблю," which means you love. Or you can say "Я люблю тебя" or "I love you." It works both ways, and it doesn't. Yeah, and it's like, what's the difference? It's like I don't know. Like exactly. I don't know why there's a difference, but there is.
So it's like it's like the same thing. But in English, because particularly like more so in like German, there's a much more like rigid order, and that's where the meaning comes from, because they don't have like German actually, weirdly enough, has like more cases than English, but I mean, like you see like this evolution of English is basically just like dropping like more and more like grammatical complexity.
Yeah.
And basically it's become like more and more of like a pidgin language
Mm-hmm.
where you just like say a lot of things. And that's what a lot of like pidgin languages are, is like you just say a lot of things and then yeah.
I mean, it makes sense. I know what you, for example, like, but on the other hand, bro, it's like, don't you think it's kind of stupid that you guys have the word high, H-I-G-H, and then you have the word high, H-I, and it's like, why do I have to pronounce it? Why don't I pronounce it high? Why is there a G-H there? Why? It's just useless. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that's happening with like the British English to English or American English. It's like when they say favorite, you know, they put that OU there in England.
Yeah.
But we don't do that here, right? And it's like, I mean, I'm okay with that. Like I said, because as a person who's learning another language, English can be super confusing because of that.
Yeah.
Or like
that's just like more,
though.
that's like really like superficial stuff though. And I mean, yeah, a lot of people talk about that and I agree. Like that's just kind of like that's just like what happens. You know, with like the non-standard spelling of English. And I mean, that's something I like about Russian is like it's that doesn't really happen a lot. Like it pretty much sounds like how it's supposed to sound. Yeah. I mean, there are like rules that if you like listen to natives talk and whatnot, like they're dropping these vowels and they get, you know, it's very like lazy basically. But yeah, like.
But on the other hand, like Russian is a lot more. For sure, it's a lot more expansive. You can make so many new words, you know, and it's so much, you know, because like you said though, the everyday people talk, you know, there's one Russian, you know what I'm saying? But if you read some books, I mean, there's some words there's so many words, and they can be changed. And you know this probably, right? You've learned like. Yeah. I don't know, like you say microphone. That's easy because it's almost the same in English. Microphone. But I can say microphone, I can say microfonchik or microfonak.
Oh, yeah,
and it all means microphone, but it's like a way of making it sound a little bit cuter or like more harsher. And you know, like Spanish does that too, but they don't do that for all words. Like they have
Yeah,
have
Russian
like rojo,
does
rojito, you know, or they say like
they
papi,
do it
papacito.
Yeah.
But Russian, you can literally do that for
with like everything. Yeah,
literally,
exactly.
there's no exclusive words, and you can do that also with names. You know?
Oh
like
yeah, absolutely.
Any name.
I think it's funny. Like everybody has like 20 different like variations. Like I met this girl and her name was like Alisa, and so I asked her like what are the different names that people call her, and like she like lists
yeah 20 names, right?
yeah
That's
so
funny.
and yeah, it's fun. Like it's like a very like creative and whatnot, and kind of like it has like a more like intimacy basically, like we're like more friendly and stuff like that. But I mean it's kind of like it's like a playful thing too, because like you have like I don't know, but I enjoy it. I love it a lot. Like people are always like, oh, Russian's like so difficult and stuff like that, but I don't know, for me it's a labor of love. Like right now I'm kind of brokenhearted about it because I couldn't go to Russia. You know, Putin disappointed me.
Oh no! Did you get declined? Seriously?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Wow.
Otherwise, I would be over there for sure right now.
Wow. And what's the process? Can you wait and do it again and try to apply? Or I mean, I don't know if you don't want to, but
yeah. I mean, like it kind of like forced me to like change my ideas about things just because.
And when did this happen? Is this just in the last couple of years? Because man, it's been fucked up in the last couple of years between America and Russia, and the same going the other way. You know, like I was lucky enough. I have 2 passports, so like I had to renew my passport, and just before they closed the embassy, the closest one in California to me is in San Francisco. So like I went there, I renewed my passport, and then literally like the next year they closed it, and like I don't know if it's open again. By the way, it may be open by now, but. Anyway, you know, had I not done it then, I would have had to legit go to like Washington D.C. and like go through this like super long process.
They have one in Houston. That's the one that I go to.
Oh, look at you, man! You fucking know everything about it. I like it.
Yeah. But what happened is I was gonna go to MSU actually, Lomonosov, and yeah, like I applied and got in, but then like the whole pandemic, thing started, because this was like that year, last year in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kept like asking them, I'm like, what, like every like month, because it started in like March, and that's when I was like started talking to them, and I'm like, what's gonna happen, what are they doing? And so they just ended up doing like the online schedule or the online classes, and their story kept changing. At first they were gonna like let me do class, because then like the problem is like there's such a huge like time separation between here and there,
11
and
hours.
so I was like, am I gonna have to like be taking classes at like 2 a.m. in the morning?
Oh no.
And they're like, no, well, there'll be other students, and so we'll have classes for that.
But
and
like
then,
like many things that are sometimes done in Russia, it's kind of like half-assed. Like you're not getting a good, clear answer, and that's one of the problems where a lot of Russians.
And that's what happened eventually, because it was just too much of this. Like I did it for a while, and I was like, and there was one class, and so I was like, all right, well, the one class, whatever, I can handle that. And then, or actually, no, what they did is I basically had like my own tutor for the language. And so that was kind of nice, because I just got to like work one-on-one with somebody, because I was the only person like in this time zone. Like I said, like everybody else is like Middle East or in Asia. And so I was the only person in this time zone. And so I basically had like my own tutor. And so I accepted that. I was like, okay, I can do that. And then they wanted, and then like after a couple of months, they wanted me to start doing classes like with the other students for like the specialty, because I was going to do biology.
So I was just going to ask you, so you were just going to do like a biology, like a major or a course, or what is it that you were applying for?
I wanted to do like focus on like physiology, and that's why I settled on MSU.
So they have a program for international students to go, and but you're getting taught in Russian, right?
Yeah.
Oh wow, dude! So you fucking wanted to go full force at it. I like that.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, I mean that's how I do things.
That's awesome.
Because I mean, like, well, one of the reasons why I was interested in it, besides like my own, love of Russian, and like the interest in like the Russian culture and people, is that you had the Iron Curtain for most of the 20th century, which is when most of the biological science was developing. And so the Soviets had a lot of like different ideas than in the West, or like there were certain ideas that got a lot more traction on the Soviet side. And so you have like two competing, it's kind of like a culture of idea, or like a culture of like anything, like bacteria and whatnot. If you separate them and there's no contact between them, they're going to develop differently.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to have like easy exposure to that. I figured if I learned biology in Russian, it would be a lot easier for me to pick it up.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things that kind of is a little bit disheartening. It's like, because it used to be a lot more interesting to read some of those Soviet, books and stuff about biology or physiology or exercise science, for example. I mean, they were like way ahead of their time comparing to.
That's much more holistic than.
But that's what I'm saying. But the thing that kind of sucks is that now that it's not really like that, it's sort of starting to get all washed together.
It's kind of funny, because you can. Obviously, like I follow a lot of like Russian people on Instagram and stuff like that.
I did not know any of this, before asking you to come on. I had no idea. I just thought you went to Russia for a trip.
For us because
that's awesome.
So I have like several friends as well that I met over there.
Okay.
And so like my Instagram is like there's lots of Russian, and so like. And it's fun too to like actually get like that real perspective. It's a good way for me to like practice Russian without actually consciously like making time for it. And you get to learn a lot of interesting stuff. There's lots of like stuff that I've picked up that would probably surprise people. Like you can just like you like dumbfound some Russian or like, how do you know that?
I mean, you know, the good and the bad thing about social media, right? That's the good thing, right? It's like you can, because you can pick up on some cultural things, right? It's like, you know, I don't know, you know, humor stuff that, you know, sometimes you'll watch a video. I have this experience all the time. Like, you know, I'll watch something in Russian and I'm like, if this was an American video, nobody would get it, you know, or vice versa too. Like the other night I was hanging out with a girl and we started watching Napoleon Dynamite. You've seen that movie?
Yeah.
And she's from Colombia, and I was like, she did not get it. And I from my Russian, you know, I'm like 50-50, you know, I consider myself because I've been in America long enough to be Americanized, and I understand American culture and humor, and Russian too, you know. And so anyway, so watching it from like my Russian self perspective, I was like, this is so fucking dumb, you know. It doesn't make any sense. It's not funny. But then as an American, like, it's one of the best movies of all time, I think. I mean, it's a very, very American, like, you know, if you haven't seen it, you know what I mean? I think people should watch it, because it's just like, to me, that's what like America, I mean, not everything, but it's just one of those very Americana things that's just like, unless you've been in America, you would not laugh at it. You just be like, what? Like, they're just standing there like this, and he's just like, yeah, bring me the chapstick. Like, that's not funny, you know. If you're like a Russian, like, it doesn't make any sense. But but see, you're laughing at it. But as an American, it's fucking hilarious.
yeah. I think, well, because I remember watching that. I was like in high school when that came out, and my entire friend group had seen it, and I hadn't seen it. And so they would just be quoting it, and so eventually I watched it. And it really wasn't that funny watching it. The funny part is when you just like quote it with your friends like that, like just now. Like, that's what's really funny about it.
It's true. It's
you
so
have to
weird.
like watch it. It's like
a couple times, maybe, right?
It's like a textbook you have to read for class or something like that, and then you can participate in the discussion. But as far as like actually watching it, like, yeah, it's pretty lame.
But again, like, but you know what? Like you said, it's like I picked up an old textbook and I was watching it and I was like, dude, it's fucking funny. You know, like when he's like throwing food at the llama, and she's like, go feed the llama, and he's like, take it, you know. I mean, it's funny, you know.
Yeah.
But I remember watching it in theaters, and this was like, I don't know, a few years that I've been in America, you know. So like, I'm already slowly understanding the culture more and everything. But yeah, dude, I had that same experience. I was watching it in theaters, and I think I was with my brother, and we were both like, what? Like, what is going on? It was just so dumbfounding, you know, this movie.
Yeah. But what we were saying about like they're like the diet trends that you see like taking place in Russia and actually the entire world, basically. They're just like copying like whatever America does, because basically like a lot of that development just happens here, and then it just gets exported elsewhere, because you have like these people who also like, there's lots of these girls that, you know, they'll like take pictures of like books and whatnot, and then I'm like translating the title, and I'm like, that's just like fucking Tim Ferriss or whatever.
Oh yeah,
like, why are you reading a Tim Ferriss book?
I know, man. That's what I'm saying. That's what's disheartening to me. I mean, there's still will always be a Russia, but like, yeah, I follow a guy on Instagram, and he lives in St. Petersburg, and he, like, this, I don't know, a couple days ago, I was watching, he posted what he was eating, and he's eating soaked buckwheat, and with like a green fucking acai in it and some shit, and you know, just vegan food, and I'm like, oh my god, he's vegan now, you know, and then I look at his profile more, and I'm like, oh yeah, he fully switched over to being a vegan. And you know, for normal American vegans, this is stuff they were doing like back in like 2005, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, that stuff has been around here for a while. But there it's picking up and it's cool, and I'm like, oh
yeah,
God.
And keto as well. I know I've seen like several keto and even a couple of like the primal like carnivore types as well.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, like the funny thing is, like, I feel like Russians and probably, you know, like the former Soviet Union overall probably have like the most intact like diet traditions of like any kind of like, you know, like Western or like white European people. whereas like pretty much everywhere else in the West, like a lot of like the cultural tradition, like culinary tradition, has been lost.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was something I really enjoyed a lot when I was in Russia,
Mm-hmm.
is eating the food, because it's like, I mean, it's very well balanced. Like you got like your meats, and they have like a little like raw salad, like a vinaigrette, and
Oh, nice vinaigrette. Look at you, man. Respect, bro. That's like
yeah,
beet,
and, like,
potato,
some
and peas
starch.
and carrots.
Yeah, yes, yeah.
Just
So you have like
people don't
you
know.
meat, starch, and then like and then yeah, like
You always have
I
soup,
think
some sort of soup like
yeah,
borscht, or I don't know,
there's like
akroshka. Did you try
yeah,
akroshka? That's a cold soup. You ever try? That's the weirdest thing. That would be a very weird experience for you. Akroshka is ham, carrots, potatoes. Okay, they're all finely chopped, like every other Russian salad. That's the only thing. It's like it's a lot of the same stuff, just like turned in differently. You know what I'm saying? Put in differently
Yeah.
with different stuff. And then you pour kefir over it. Kefir. We say kefir in Russia, and it's
I mean, that's,
cold.
I think yeah, I like to say it like that too.
That would be like, if somebody's like, I want to try some weird Russian food, I'd be like, try that.
Yeah, so I mean, like, it's really well balanced, and so yeah, I think especially like now that there's a lot more economic security that really wasn't there before. I think like overall, like as a nation, they're probably healthier. Also, like no GMOs, and it's funny because if you like look at like the what's like allowed in like the electromagnetic spectrum, it's like 100 times lower.
It's a lot lower. Yeah, but that's like all of Europe. Well, not all. Western Europe is starting to. Western Europe at this point is just like Ohio. You know what I'm saying? It's just fucking America by now. But like,
Yeah.
the Eastern Europe is still keeping its kind of old school traditions, like you said.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, and I've talked about this with my Russian friends too, because in America there's this whole like health food scene, right, and health whatever scene, like you said, the Tim Ferriss, the Ben Greenfield type guys.
Yeah.
But like in Russia, like when I was growing up, my grandfather had a sauna in his backyard that he built with his hands, and it was not like oh my god, he's a biohacker. It was
Yeah.
everybody knows it's healthy for you. I don't know
it's like
why.
there's like this whole like there's all this tradition like already there basically.
Yeah.
And they're basically like reinventing the wheel, or it's like why are you, like, I call it like it's like the California, why are you living like a Californian? You're like in Moscow, and you got like you're doing yoga,
Yeah.
eating like avocado,
Well, that's what's happening, man. Yeah.
and on all the other stuff, and it's like all this stuff, and it's not even like American. It's really just California, and like Southern California specifically. Or I
Yeah.
guess, I mean, I don't know, like,
Well, it'll spread.
San
It'll
Francisco,
spread.
LA
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
I mean, I know my friends in Florida doing the same shit. They have our big Russian sauna, banya. We say banya in Russia. So it'll slowly start spreading. But I mean, back in the day when I first moved to Ohio. I lived there in America, and I remember we'd go to the sauna with my friends, and we'd put on. Did you go to a Russian sauna when you were in Russia?
I did not
Banya?
actually.
Oh, you missed out, my friend. Well, next time you
no.
come, I'll take
I mean,
you.
I would
We gotta
definitely
do a
like
boys
to. I
trip.
mean, like,
You with Kyle Mamunis, me. We gotta go.
Oh, yeah.
You guys would have a fucking great time.
absolutely.
In Russia,
I've been trying to get him, like, I've been talking like gently, like mentioning it to him now and
me
and
too.
again. Yeah.
So there you go. It'll happen.
maybe with both of us working on him. 'Cause
Oh yeah.
he'll be like,
It'll happen. Trust me, it'll happen. He's down. It's just right now, pandemic, all that. It's
I
weird.
know it fucking
Fucked
it
everything
ruins
up.
so much. Yeah, I had like this beautiful like life plan for myself, and it just ruined it.
So your plan was to go there and just to study. And is there like a length to the program, or it was just like a 2-year, like a standard kind of thing?
Yeah, it was like a 4. I mean, for me, it really would have been 5 years, because you have like the 1 year of like the language, they call it like the preparatory thing and whatnot, and so
And there will be like
and then you
a
do like
master's?
4 years. No, like a bachelor's.
Okay, sorry. I got some water in my throat there.
Yeah.
Went down the wrong pipe. So you were there for 2 weeks. So what else did you experience, man? What other things did you what stood out to you? What's most memorable?
I mean, I loved like going around. So how it worked is, I have like you have like about a 2 weeks of like camp, like to do like a language camp, and then I have like 2 days. So each time, like of the break in between, I would go and like check out like different parts of Moscow, and so it didn't feel like overwhelming, and it was kind of like a different, like it's fun like having like the metro because you just like pick some place and then you pop up and you're there, and there's so much like each like section of Moscow is like different. For me it was like Disneyland for an adult, basically.
Did you get lost in the metro?
You got like a different like thematic thing. No, but like some of them are like super huge.
Yeah. I get lost in the metro when I go, bro. Trust me. My brother lives there. If without him, I'd be lost. I have no idea. Because it's huge. It's huge. And like you said, there's a lot of different areas to go, and there's a lot of different places.
So it's you just like every time I would just like pick like a different place. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go over here. Eventually, I kind of like settled on a place that I liked most. Kind of like over like on the eastern side, by like I think it's like Basmani and there's like Zielona, I can't remember.
Zilona Kольцо, yeah. There's
so many. There's like this big avenue, and it's like
that's not that's like telling.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, it was like but yeah. Okay. But it's just fun because you can like there's like all these amazing places that you can just go and just have like a different like experience attached to it, you know.
And you were there in the summer, or when were you there?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a good time to go.
June and July. And yeah, I guess August too. Yeah.
But I mean, you've lived in Colorado long enough that you wouldn't be scared of the winter, because the winter can get fucked up in Moscow, my friend.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, people. Of course, people tell me that, and
I mean, dude, you're not going to like, where I was born is Petropavlovsk-Kamchatsky, which is Kamchatka.
Oh,
if you look at Russia, if you look at the very
Siberia,
peninsula, well, it's not actually Siberia; it's past Siberia. So it's Japan.
Oh,
it's right above Japan, and a lot of my family members went there because you can just take a boat right down to it. So the peninsula, and there's the only city there. It's called Petropavlovsk-Kamchatsky, and that's where I was born. And that place gets fucked up snow, because that's like like you said, and we have volcanoes, and we have bears, awesome, and all sorts of stuff, and that's like that, if you ever want to experience real Russia.
Oh yeah, that was definitely like on my list of things to do afterwards, or when I would go over there. I was just, I don't know if I was gonna leave during the summer or something like that, or just like explore around Russia, just because there's so many places to go. I definitely wanted to go to Siberia, because actually I also knew, I read like the Anastasia books, like the Ringing Cedars. Have you ever heard of those? Yeah. And so
you want to go see the beautiful forests and all that kind of birch trees and all that stuff. Right?
I was kind of fascinated by it, but. Yeah.
No, it's beautiful.
There's just like so much to explore there. Really,
I explain it to my friends, like, if you take a flight from New York, direct flight, New York to Moscow, it's somewhere around 11 or 12 hours. That's how long, you cross the Atlantic Ocean. Usually they'll go over like Greenland sometimes. There's different routes, but it'll still take you 11 to 12 hours, right, to get from New York all the way across Europe and then into Moscow. Now, if you take a flight from Moscow and go where I was born, which is the very end of Russia, Kamchatka, that's also 11 to 12 hours. So that just shows you how fucking big, massive Russia is. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it has all the time zones. Yeah, it's pretty crazy, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, there's a couple of girls that I talk to that are like in Siberia, and so it's
like
funny
Yakutsk
because
or something. Where are they at? Do you know the cities?
One is in Novosibirsk, and the other is in like Barnaul.
Okay, Novosibirsk is like bordering. It's not like that deep in there.
I know. Yeah, it really isn't.
I mean, it's still fucking cold. Don't get me wrong. There's definitely bears running around, but
and just like snow packed up like above your head.
yeah, man.
But yeah, the other one, she's in like Barnaul, which is, I guess, kind of close. It's like I think it's in the Altai region.
Okay, well
Like
that's
what, like
up
Baikal?
there. Oh no, that's
Yeah.
down there. Oh, so you're saying
I don't
Baikal?
know.
Ah, Baikal. I couldn't understand you at first. That's like by close to Mongolia. That's cold as fuck. That's Siberia. But believe it or not, it's still like because it's southern a little bit. It's
Yeah.
not that bad as if you go north. Like I said, like I think Yakutsk is the city that they have the just the lowest temperatures. It's like minus. I don't know, minus 1 million. It's just so fucking cold. Those things of,
Yeah.
when people throw hot water outside their balcony and then it just freezes as it falls down. That's real. That's how cold it is. Yeah. See, like I said, it's fun. Like that. It's fun for me for a month,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
fun for me for a month. But to tell you the truth, like the thing is that because it's in Russia, that stuff lasts. Well, not that cold, but just the things that surround it, like dirt and rain and
Yeah.
just your car being so fucking dirty and covered in just black tar and all that stuff lasts for like a good 5 months, like almost half the year. It's like that.
Yeah.
And that sucks, and I
But
don't
then the
love
nice
that.
thing is like, then like the summer is just like paradise. Like it's
Very
just like
true.
wonderful.
Very true. Which
and
I
so,
don't
yeah.
experience living in America and especially LA. Yeah, that like springtime, and then you just go outside and you kind of smell the trees, and it's just this like it's not too humid. It's a little humid. Just that feeling of, like you said, summer, and there's actually butterflies flying around and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
it's just like beautiful and wonderful. It's almost kind of, it's like this like pendulum where it's like you get like the very like a harsh winter and it's long, but then like it just like blossoms with like so much force and power into like this like wonderful summer.
It's very true.
And actually, yeah, and like Ray, he does like this. He talks about this really interesting experiment that they were conducting in St. Petersburg, which is, pretty far north. Like not as far as like Russia is concerned, but like it's farther north than like most European, cities.
Mhm.
And like the conclusion that he was drawing is basically like the really long days in the summer are actually
yeah.
like what makes it like tolerable. Like the red light and stuff like that.
Yeah. If you ever, let's not say ever. You'll go to Russia eventually. When you go to Russia, you got to go to St. Petersburg and experience
I
white
did,
nights.
yeah.
But I'm saying white nights in May
Oh,
when
okay.
it's
Yeah.
when you see the sun kind of go down and then it's like, no, fuck you, it goes back up, and so it's just light all night. It's really cool. But in the summer, it's fun. And I had that experience myself. Like, I went in August for the World Cup a couple years ago. I think it was 2018. Yeah. And
I should have gone to that. I
Oh,
don't know
you
why
should
I
have definitely
did,
gone, my
but
friend.
I should have.
Well,
yeah.
I never been to a World Cup. So I didn't even know what experience would be, but
Yeah.
it was fucking awesome. And like talking to everybody who was, there was lots of Latinos, like lots of Mexicans, lots of Colombians. Like obviously those motherfuckers love that stuff. But talking to them, they genuinely were like, "This is one of the best World Cups ever." And even me myself, I was shocked at how it was so ordered. There was like lots of people standing there and helping everybody, and like they were giving you high fives, and like you could ask all the stupid questions, So it was like very well directed. And even myself, like I was like, damn, they did a great job. So it was like one of the best World Cups ever, they say. So anyway, being there, like I remember one time I woke up. This is like maybe a day or two, like when I just got there, like, so I'm still like adjusting. And I woke up and I was like, all right, time to make coffee. Like the sun is up, and then I go to the kitchen, I start making coffee, and I'm like, man, I feel fucking tired, like, and then I look at the clock and it's like 4 a.m. Okay?
Yeah.
Because the sun, and at 4 a.m. the sun is already up. And I was like,
Yep,
oh
yeah.
my God, I just went back to sleep,
Yeah,
So
that happened a lot because like that's what happens as like a camp counselor. At camp is like the kids go to sleep and whatnot, and then you guys just like hang out and late into the night. And there were a couple of nights where, yeah, I'd be like walking back to my building at like 4 a.m. and the sky, like you can't really see the sun, but the sky is a very like warm blue.
Yeah.
And the sun's gonna be up very soon.
Yeah. And like you said, man, I miss that here. Like, it's like here in the winter too, it gets so fucking dark. It's like at like 4 o'clock, it's dark.
That's what I worry most about. Like, honestly, like I don't mind like the snow or the cold. I think it's just like the really like long nights, I think.
Long nights. But I have some friends that say like they prefer that too, the Russian way, because because it's like in the winter you kind of, it's dark and gloomy, and you kind of have this mode of like, let's work, just do work and whatever, show up and be there. And then as soon as it starts being spring and then summer comes around, you start having like, okay, time to vacation, time to relax. And so like you said, there's this like, natural flow of like winter, summer, winter, summer.
Yeah.
Where, like you said, and I think it's important, because there's so many people in LA that like, it rains a little bit, and it barely fucking rains here, dude. It barely rains. And, and they're just like, they can't drive. They're like wearing, the girls are all wearing their Uggs,
Yeah.
Like it's a snowstorm coming, and they're all like.
That's what it's like here too, as well. Like whenever it's like overcast, because here it's like so sunny and everybody's used to the sun and the great weather and stuff like that. And actually right now is probably actually the dreariest weather we have like all year. Because it's like our like wet time, like basically from April through like June even, we'll have like stretches of like 2 weeks where it's just like overcast, and I'm just like, did I like move to Seattle?
Now that I would take Russia cold ass weather to summer any day over that Seattle bullshit. Like I hard pass on that. Like, like Kurt Cobain, Nirvana. I mean, I love Kurt Cobain, don't get me wrong, but you know what I'm saying? There's a reason. I think there's a reason that that music came out of there. You know what I mean? Just that black hole sun, won't you come? Like fuck, I can't do that rain. I mean, honestly,
the like January and February I enjoy a lot more here, just because like it's sunny. Like there might be like snow and it'll be cold, but there's sun, and so like it really doesn't bother me at all.
Colorado's a special place. A lot of people, recently been moving out of here, obviously to Texas and a lot of Florida, and Colorado is also kind of a big spot where people move to. So you dig it. Are you up there in elevation? Are you practicing Ray Pete's elevation tactics?
There's a guy in one of the like the Discord chat, and he like asked me about it a lot, and like I'm like a mile high basically. Actually,
oh wow,
Wyoming is like, so we're like Denver's like the mile high city because it's 5280 feet above, and so it's like a common like branding thing. You'll see like the 5280 company for such and such service and whatnot, but Wyoming's actually higher. Like Cheyenne's like 6,000 feet.
Wow. But
an interesting thing that I noticed last year when I took a road trip, so I went out to like Michigan and Ohio and Pennsylvania, and I was kind of like experimenting with my diet, and so I was basically just like living off of McDonald's and Walmart.
That's fucking something. That's bald eagle, American flag with a shotgun shit right there, my friend. Yeah. I like that.
Well, it's just because I wanted something, I guess, like I was doing the Tim Ferriss stuff where it's like, I don't want to think about what I'm going to eat.
Just 4 hours a week is all it takes, man.
So I know that McDonald's and Walmart, I'm always going to be able to find no matter where.
It's so true.
So McDonald's I would have for breakfast. I would get the coffee, and then just like dump like tablespoons of sugar into it, and then the McGriddle, because I always used to love that like as a kid.
Is the McGriddle, is that the one that's like 2 pancakes or whatever stacked on between?
Kind of. It's like a biscuit, and then there's like a sausage patty, and then they like infuse it with like syrup or something like that.
Yeah, that's made out of like yoga mats or whatever, right?
Whatever. The syrup covers up anything else.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, dude, I fucking love that syrup too. That was one of the first things I had in America. Literally, dude.
Oh. Wow.
The second day we were in America. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No. Go ahead. Yeah.
I was just gonna say that we just. You gonna ask me something?
Because like in Russia, McDonald's is like very popular
and way more delicious, isn't it?
It's got a lot of status and stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah.
Your girls will like finish their aerobics routine at the gym and then take pictures of themselves
With a beer
you know,
at McDonald's, right? Because we can get like beers at McDonald's and stuff like that, you know.
I don't remember that, but like, yeah. Anyway, so they're at McDonald's
No,
because it's got
beer is not
status.
posh. Yeah, that's the posh chicks don't take beer. That's the boys. The boys do beer. Well, you know, it's just like anything. Like you said, like look, let's take alcohol. What's cool?
I went there. I went to McDonald's and tried it out because like everybody's like, oh yeah, it's so great, and I was like, well, maybe it will be better because I do genuinely believe that like Russia's like standards for like their food are higher.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be sourcing it from like Russian. It's not like they're like importing like American beef to do, or they might. Mm-hmm. But anyways, the conclusion of my story is that I did go there once or twice, and to me, it just seemed like the same bland crap that you get in America.
Dude, it's just like anything in life. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I was going to say, take alcohol. What's cool to drink in America? Is it cool to drink Coors Light and Bud Light? I mean, there's definitely motherfuckers that love that stuff here, and those people should die. But what's cool to drink? It's cool to drink like Irish whiskey, right? Or Scottish whiskey, or Russian vodka, right? Like if I tell you like, hey man, I got this vodka, it's made in Florida. Like, you're going to be like, okay, but if I tell you, oh, it's from Siberia and it's made by, this one-legged guy that has one eyeball too, and he just like does it every morning and he uses snow, you know what I'm saying?
From like some Orthodox monastery.
Yeah, everybody loves it. Everybody, when like I gift it often. I'll go to Russia and I'll come back with like some vodkas that you can't find here, and people love it.
Oh, yeah.
And
that's what I was going to do is I have my dairy farm, one of the dairy farms, they used to live in Wisconsin, and so they were next to like some of the Amish. A lot of people don't know there's Amish in Wisconsin, and they would have like these maple farms, and so they still get some of that maple syrup down here. And so I was gonna buy these like gift jars of maple syrup and bring it over there because I don't think they have like maple trees.
No,
they probably have
maple syrup
birch.
is not like a big thing yet. It will be, I guarantee you. Yeah, there's birch syrup, but it's not that good, dude, and it doesn't taste
right. So I was just gonna so I bought some of these, and I was going to be something that I brought over there. Because another thing I like about Russians is like the culture of gift giving. Like I really got into that while I was there.
It's awesome.
And I've lost that, staying over here so long.
But just to finish up that point, I was gonna say, and what's cool to drink in Russia? Like, do you think it's cool to drink Russian vodka in Russia? No. Everybody looks at you like you're an alcoholic. I'm serious. Like, because it's associated with alcoholics, like vodka.
Yeah.
So what do Russians drink? They drink Jack Daniels, and they drink, also like American whiskey. No, I'm serious. Like, if you go to like a cool Moscow nightclub, all the cool boys drink whiskey. What are you going to say?
Okay. What about Polish vodka?
Nah, they're fucking boring.
No?
They're stupid.
Okay.
Everybody knows that.
Right.
Just kidding. I'm just kidding. But Polish vodka, there's a good one that's sold here in America. It's called Chopin vodka. Have you tried that one? It's Polish vodka.
I don't really drink a lot, and when I do, I usually just have wine. I like red wine. There's Malbec from Argentina. That's usually what I get.
Yeah, that's my favorite too. That's what I would always go for if I go for wine. Yeah. I mean, I don't drink that much too, but when I do, I make it Russian vodka just to show everybody that it's cool to drink.
You got to play up to the stereotype. I mean, that's what I was like doing in Russia too.
Yeah.
Is you kind of just you got to lean on that stereotype.
Yeah. No, but to tell you the truth, dude, I think something about my Russian genetics. Seriously, I don't like whiskey at all. Like it makes me, like I have that like when you sip it and you feel like gagging. That's me with whiskey. I can't do it. Like nothing. Even that like super expensive like. I don't know. I can't remember some of the names, but those like Irish whiskeys that are super cool and expensive. But give me some vodka with some OJ in there. I'm good to go, bro.
That's the Ray Pete approved cocktail.
Oh, is it? Seriously? Is that the one?
I mean, that's like the closest thing to one.
And then you just put a little red light in it while you're drinking it, right?
Because you have like the vitamin C and the minerals and the fructose will actually help your liver process alcohol. Yeah,
talking about another thing like where certain health things that are considered kind of latest and the greatest things here, whereas in Russia they've been around for a long time. Everybody knows them. Like vodka, there is definitely a thing though of like, well, it's the cleanest alcohol because it really is. I mean, it's just literally clean, clear alcohol. So if you talk to somebody who's like, give me something I don't want to get too fucked up. Like they're not going to say like take rum, you know what I mean? Like or something like that because rum will ruin you. or cognac. Oh, like cognac and stuff. So that's weird
Yeah.
stuff. People drink that. So you were saying you got into gift giving. Well, see, that's another thing where like in America, and especially in big cities in America, what I fucking hate. Like I'll have friends that'll just show up. Like I'm like, hey, I come over to watch the UFC with me. You know, we'll come hang out, and they just show up. What's up, bro? And I have nachos out, and they just start eating my nachos, and I'm like,
that
cool, asshole. You know, like
yeah,
thanks for bringing something.
Get ticked off at that being Russian.
Yeah, well, it's not even like, I don't know. It's just one of those things that's just, it's not even a question. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
You're going to just show up to the guy's house and not bring anything? It's not even like in your mind. Like, you know, if you're coming to, I mean, if we're just two buddies hanging out, of course it's different. But
Yeah.
like you said, if I'm inviting you to whatever, a party or let's hang, like, yeah, bring something. That's what people do. Bring some alcohol, bring some food, maybe bring everything, you know, and because
Yeah.
I'm inviting you to my place. And I would do the same
Yeah.
for you, you know?
I think part of the problem, like, even if we wanted to like bring this back, is it would be really hard because it's like, you know, everyone's like so particular, particularly like you know, it's like, oh, I'm gluten free, or you know, I don't do that stuff or something like
Isn't
that.
that funny?
Right, that's kind of like because like everyone's so, you know, there's not really like a common like base of like a cultural thing, because
Yeah.
that's what made it easier about gift giving in Russia. Is it's like you can just go to the store and just like buy like some tea packets or something
Yeah.
like that, and be like, hey, you know, this
Yeah.
like I heard you like talking about like this tea flavor or something like
Yeah.
that. Like you should try this. You know?
And you'll know they'll get used because like everybody drinks tea. It's just like you
Yeah.
drink tea. And if for some god awful reason I don't drink tea, like I'll know for sure somebody who'll drink the tea, right? So it's
yeah,
like,
so you know that's going to be a good gift because everyone drinks tea. But like here, you know, you could do that, and it's like,
is
I
that
never
fair
drink
trade
tea.
certified tea? Because if it's not fair trade certified, I don't support slavery. Okay.
Well, not not
Steve.
even that. It's not even that, but it's just like it's probably a good chance the guy doesn't even like drink tea or anything. So it's just gonna like sit in the back of his pantry for
Yeah.
forever.
I miss those things a lot because I have that happen to me a lot. Like I said, especially in LA where just somebody just shows up and it's like, or another thing, or it's like we go out to the bar and I just say, I'm going to buy you a drink. And I buy a drink and I buy one for you without just, it's normal. Like I'm at the bar, you're over there with a chick or whatever. You're sitting down, chilling. I'm just going to bring you a drink. I'll bring me a drink. We'll have a drink. Then you'll probably do the same. And in America, like if I do that too, it's like, oh, thank you so much. And then they'll just forget about it. And then everybody's focused. It's all very like individual. Oh, here's a perfect example. I thought of a better example. One of the most things where I just want to kill everybody at the tables have you ever had those like big dinners with somebody at a restaurant? Like, I don't know, 10 people. And then everybody eats, everybody gets drinks. It's all a mishmash of who got what. Then they give you the bill. And then some asshole grabs the check, flips it over, and starts writing down with a pen who got what and how much exactly, like to the cent dollar amount you owe. Those people need to get kicked in the balls. I mean, seriously. In Russia, here's how it's done. We all split it. And that's it. You just split it. I don't care if you had 3 drinks and I had 1 and I didn't have... You just split it. Stop being an asshole about it. It's just so annoying. That's a very, very American culture thing that annoys the fuck out of me.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, I'm glad you got to experience some different things. So all right, so you'll get around there. Well, dude, we went off deep into Russia there, and we can keep going. I mean, we'll come around. I mean, I wanted to say that I heard about you via Kyle Mamunis' stream the other day, and I didn't even know that you guys did a podcast before. I just was listening to you guys, and you guys brought it up, and I was like, what? Which is called Nutrition Deconstructed, which is a great podcast because it's a great name, I think, for this, principle of deconstructing nutritional ideas versus taking a stance on a view, and then just bending everything around your point of view to make it match. Sort of like what vegans do with like B12. Like they're like, well, everybody's deficient in B12, so duh, you should all supplement. It's not my diet that makes me deficient in B12. Or like the carnivores, right? Which are like, Well, at some point in history, we only ate meat. And so that's why we got to do that now. That makes sense, right? Perfect sense. And it's like,
Yeah.
and I thought it was pretty good. Just a great name for your podcast.
Yeah, it was just like basically looking at things from like a meta perspective. Because that's kind of what's missing a lot. Like one of the things we talked about or in our recent podcast episode is that people will go through like multiple diets like this, and this is only becoming more and more common as like lots of carnivores are usually like ex-vegans and stuff like that. And so I think that's kind of like a real like missing area, is this providing like a context for you got like some wind in your mic.
I think I got some neighbors going down the hall here carrying some shit or anyone. That's LA, dude. At any point in time, there could be just a guy, fucking Mexican, pops out of nowhere with a wind blower. Just fucking hate that, too. Anyway, sorry to interrupt you there.
No, that's fine. But yeah, so I think that was something that I really wanted to talk about. And there really wasn't like a format or like a forum for that per se. And so like the best thing to do is basically just to like do it yourself, just start talking, instead of waiting for like somebody to do it.
Yeah.
And
it's so
great.
A
lot of the
Yeah, because it's so hard to find people like that, though. Like you said, there's no place. If you go to YouTube or whatever, it's always like the Ray Pete forum or the vegan forum or the carnivore forum, right? And it's just these people that only, like I said, just they take things and they apply it only to this point of view, and it's like everything else is just bullshit. Just listen to me. And yeah, so I wanted to ask you, how did you get into like even nutritional deconstructing? What was did you have like I don't know, did you grow up vegetarian or vegan or something like that, like in a house and just did yoga every day, or what's the story?
No, we're not very crunchy, which is like an adjective that I think that people used to use like 15 years ago,
Is
but
like
they don't really use
crunching
anymore.
thing? Is that what it is?
Yeah, exactly. Because that's what. Because
yeah.
back in like the 90s, I think is like when that started. Because you had like the yuppies and doing the yoga and eating granola bars.
Yeah. What's the the guy in the Speedos that does the yoga that stands on your back? You know what I'm talking about? What's his name? Bikram yoga. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
You ever seen that interview when he's like, "Woman will pay $1 million for a drop of my sperm"? You haven't seen that?
No.
Oh, dude, it's fantastic. This lady is interviewing him, and she's like, "What about all those sexual allegations?" He's like, "They want my sperm." And then she's like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "There's women that will pay millions of dollars to get a drop of my sperm. And what do you want me to do?" Like, that's legit. It's the best thing online. Go ahead and enjoy that.
What do they do with that sperm?
I don't know. It's Kundalini. It just goes up there,
I'm just wondering, because if they were making babies with it, then there would be proof. But
yeah, there was a studio here that got taken down, and then in the last 5 years maybe, that used to be, it was Bikram yoga, and then it's just gone. And because there was a documentary that came out, I think it was Netflix, and it was they talking about all those sexual allegations with that guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So anyway, those yuppies.
Yeah. So like my background, actually, I was very fortunate that my mom took an interest in like nutrition, and she was doing, pretty like Weston A. Price inspired stuff. Even like as a kid, like we were never like super strict or anything like that. Like I always like to give my parents crap because they like they would like give me like soda pop in like a sippy cup,
That's cute.
But
that's American shit, dude. I love that.
Yeah.
In Russia, just to interrupt you for a second there, I remember very distinctively being like, I don't know, 7 or something, and I had 2 best friends, and the 3 of us would pull together some money to buy Coca-Cola, because it just started being sold there. Like, because before, like you said, 1991, it wasn't, well, maybe a few years before 91 it started being sold. But, before that, you never could find it. You'd only see the commercials with a white polar bear, and you're like, oh my God, Anyway, so we'd pull together and buy one of those, not the current, like, Mexican Coca-Cola, but like the little old school American glass bottle versions.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And the three of us would like share it, and it would be like, oh my god, you know? Can you imagine to fast forward to now where you have those like, you know, half gallon or whatever?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
That's another thing too that people find like that just like Americans just like blows their mind is that people in basically any other part of the world like don't really drink when they're eating something.
You mean like water or what?
Yeah, just like anything.
Yeah.
Like even if you have like wine or something like that, you're just like sipping wine, but you don't, you know. But it's like this like American obsession with like washing things down. You gotta, you know, like it's always in like the advertisement where it's like just wash it down with an ice cold Coke. You know, it's like why do you gotta wash it down? Like shouldn't you be like enjoying it?
That's so funny, right? Like push it down. That's true, man. That's very true. That's a very American expression, like wash it down. Like you can't say that in Russian. Like pramoy is like what? It wouldn't make sense. It just would be lost in translation. That's interesting, you know. Well, you know, that's why we have like soup, by the way. Seriously, that's why like, you know, in Russian culture, soup is very much sour. They will serve you kompot. Have you tried kompot?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so you know that could be like, but that's again.
Yeah,
like,
that was one of my favorite things about Russia is the Stalovaya, the cafeterias.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, like the Russians, they would always call it a canteen.
Those are the cool ones. Yeah, I say Stalowa. Fuck those people. Like I said,
well, because they would translate it to, because I don't think they like.
Oh yeah, they would take like a literal translation. Yeah, that happens all the time.
Well, that's like a British, like that's more of like a European term. Like in, because it took me a long time to like figure. I'm like, what is this? Like, what would I call this in America? And eventually I was like, it's a cafeteria.
Yeah,
like
it's not a canteen. Yeah. I have a Russian friend that comes to visit me often here, and he works here, and he does it all the time. He'll come here, we'll be like in a building, and he's like, do you want to take the lift? And I'm like, lift, asshole, it's elevator. Get the fuck out of here. That's in England. You're an American now, buddy.
Yeah, with your rubbish.
Yeah. That's funny. So your parents would, so they kind of would, I guess sort of like a Russian way, right? They applied some of kind of healthy principles, but then you guys had ice cream and Coca-Cola on the weekend or whenever you felt
sure.
like
I mean,
it.
like it's pretty like relaxed and laid back, which is like really what you should be. Like Kyle talks about this a lot. Like he doesn't really have like a very like strict diet. Like, his big thing is like his diet really shouldn't be a concern. And I agree. Like if you're like on like some autoimmune paleo protocol and you're not getting better in 2 years, then you're on the wrong diet. You're doing something wrong.
Yes.
Because you're not getting better. You're just managing symptoms and stuff like that. So, like really, it shouldn't really matter that you go, and have some like PUFA laden meal with a bunch of like alcohol.
Yeah.
And like, you're gonna feel it. You're going to feel like crap or something like that. Probably for many different reasons, probably because you also stayed up until like 2 a.m. and stuff like that.
Yeah, but there's no need to be like obsessive about it every day. Like if you're going to go have a pizza with your buddies, have a pizza.
Yeah, and it also shouldn't like debilitate you for like 2 weeks or something like that. like the famous like Jordan Peterson story of like some like apple cider, just like. And
I was up all night. I couldn't sleep for 2 months. Yeah. That poor fucking guy. I don't know, man. I have I'm a little bit torn with him. I know a lot of people hate him. He's sort of like either hated or loved.
Yeah, I mean, like he's a great like punching bag for people now, and so like I really like I'm kind of like more like I think it's not really necessary.
It's not. I know what you're saying. Yeah, it was apple cider vinegar, right? He said I couldn't sleep for 2 months.
Well, it wasn't the vinegar. Guy. It was just like apple cider. Yeah, it was God. Like so you would think that like something like that. It's fruit, right? So it's healthy. It's not bad. So yeah, like I don't think that you should really be too worried about that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And so growing up, how did you get into it? Did you have like an initiation diet of like, I don't know, like I said, getting into some crazy diet and started to do that and then, getting obsessed with it? Did you have that moment?
No, I was actually pretty like moderate for a while. I came across like the bulletproof diet
Mm.
in like 2012 and did that for a couple of years, and then I did a I don't really know like what this this test is. Like if people have had it before, they know what it's called or like what it is, but like there's no like real good name. I think it's called CEDSA, like SEDSA, and basically you like complete this like electric circuit somehow. Like you hold like one like electrical node in like one hand and whatnot, and
Mm.
you like ask this machine questions, yes or no
You're
questions,
talking
and
about Scientology, bro. That's Scientology. That's Tom Cruise shit right there. What the fuck are you talking about? I've done that.
then
I did that on Hollywood Boulevard. They'll pull you aside, you sit down, you hold
oh
on to
yeah,
these two tubes, and they're like, "Tell me about your childhood," and you're like, "I don't know. It was all right." They're like, "But was it really?" And you're like, "Well, I guess no." And they're like, "It was horrible, wasn't it?" You're like, "Yes." You know, you just keep going. That's what they're doing to those fucking poor people.
yeah.
Okay, so you had like a test. So that was kind of your first thing that you remember, like in the
Well,
health
so
world.
so doing that was kind of like enough of like a push to where I actually dropped like gluten and dairy to do like the real paleo stuff. Because before then I was just like, kind of like paleo inspired, where it's like, yeah, I mean like, I was following like the paleo stuff, but I wasn't like full on because as a regular American or just like anybody really, unless you're like Asian, then like getting rid of gluten and milk from your diet is kind of difficult. It's on a lot of stuff.
Very difficult. So you never done
Um,
like a full like I don't know detox or whatever, off of gluten, took a month off, or are you just saying you kind of went back and forth with it?
well, so then I did it for a couple of years and I liked it because I didn't necessarily like feel better in any noticeable way, but I did like it felt cleaner. Probably because like as a result of that, I was getting rid of like eating like Snickers bars and like McDonald's and stuff like that.
Yeah, and just really cheap ass cereals and shit. Sorry about that fucking guy.
Yeah.
I told you they pop out of nowhere. I told you it'll go away though. I don't think it'll translate too much to the podcast. But if you're hearing this, know that there's a very handsome Mexican man. That's by the way, those things are fucking illegal. Seriously, you know that there's a
'Cause
law.
like the law that allowed.
Well, they're not doing anything.
yeah.
They're just blowing fucking leaves and dirt from one side to the other side.
Yeah. It's like the most American thing is like.
And they still do it, and but they don't enforce the law because LA is weird with all their politics and all their laws. But yeah, I'll be at parks all the time, and there'll be a dude blowing fucking leaves from one side to the other while I'm working out, and then I'm smelling. And those things run on gas, by the way. Talk about like
Yeah.
environmentally quote unquote friendly, right? And it's just like, what the fuck's going on here? I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh man. And so okay, and so did you get into Ray Pete later on? I mean, what was your progression
Yeah.
of stuff?
So there were a couple of threads that talked about Ray Pete on the Bulletproof forum, and so I was like, he was like on my periphery.
On the bulletproof on Dave Asprey's thing?
Yeah, actually,
Wow.
like that ended up being a kind of like jumping off point for me. Like I don't really know what it's like there anymore, but back when I was on it,
It's just fucking butter, coffee, and everything, bro. It's insane. There's a cafe out here. I mean, they make pretty good food. They'll make like steak and eggs,
yeah,
But it's all like it's just everything is drowned in fat, because fat.
right,
fat,
yeah,
fat.
yeah.
And it's-
Everything's butter and MCT oil.
Yeah, I got there like a rice bowl one time. It was like rice, ground beef, and vegetables.
$17.
22, something like that, bro. That's
Okay,
cheap.
yeah.
At least $17. That's like a cup of coffee there. But
Well, when I was there, it was like in 2015, like whenever they launched it.
oh, you went to it on Main Street in
Oh
Santa
yeah,
Monica?
I was
Oh,
gonna
cool.
be not a. Is that the one in like Monica, like the first one or whatever?
It's literally
Like
the
a
first
Monica
one,
Boulevard.
Santa Monica
Yeah.
Boulevard. It's on Main
Yeah.
Street. It's very close to the beach. You're like
Yeah.
that last street before you're hitting the boardwalk, basically. So you were there.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
good
yeah.
thing. Good thing you didn't start working there, dude. Because you go in there now, and there's just dudes with like nose piercings and stuff, and like all kinds of weirdos in there. So don't do it. No offense.
Yeah, I
if
was
you got
actually
nose
gonna
piercing.
do like the bulletproof coaching. I went to like the conference and stuff like
No,
that.
you
So
didn't.
I was way into it.
Did you get the vibrational plate and stand on it and shit?
Oh.
No, they got it in the cafe now. You can go inside.
Oh yeah, yeah. I can't remember. Did I do that there? I can't remember. But I mean, yeah, I thought about getting one of those at one time. You can yeah, I mean like I don't it's I mean there's a lot of biohacking is just like really expensive stuff. Like you're gonna go broke trying to biohack stuff.
Yeah, I mean that thing is not cheap. But I mean, like
No, it's like
what are you doing?
$1,500.
You're shaking. I mean, there's some truth in that science. But what?
Yeah.
Hey, how about what if you just get a tiny little trampoline for $50
Yeah,
and you
exactly.
stand and shake on it? Ain't that kind of the same thing? So
It
you
is
know what I
pretty
mean?
much.
So
I mean, so my theory about like why like walking helps people, you hear like old people all the time, not really old people, but like middle-aged people, be like, I'm gonna like change my diet and start walking to like lose weight, like a New Year's resolution. And they will, like they'll feel a lot better and stuff like that. And I think the reason why has nothing to do with like their diet or depending on what the diet changes they are, probably not the greatest diet changes. Or like the extra calorie expenditure of walking. It has to do with the fact that they're now moving their body, and every step is like a small like jump. It's a little vibration, and so they're shaking their lymph system. Because normally most people are just sitting at their desk all day, or sitting in a car, or sitting at a couch.
Yep.
So they're just not moving.
100%.
Just walking at all is a big thing.
Yeah, it has to do, like you said. I agree with you with the lymph system, because you can feel that, like you said, if you eat like a really bad fatty meal and you just feel like shit, and then you go to sleep or drink a lot of beer, you wake up kind of feeling puffy. Do you know what I'm saying? Like that kind of like bloated, puffy feeling. That's why it feels so good to go to the gym and work out. And then have you ever had that experience like you feel puffy and then you work out and you just kind of feel literally like you dropped some weight, but like you haven't. You know what I'm saying? I think all that stuff just kind of shakes around and goes down, and and you sweat it out. Russians do that too, by the way. Very big to go to the gym or the sauna. I can't believe you didn't go to the sauna, dude. I gotta take you when you go.
Yeah, I don't know. That just like never came up.
Oh, dude, that's like the most. We'll do it the real way. Then we'll go and rent like a house, because there's like houses you can rent that is inside. It's just a sauna, and there's a room, and you can hang out. Bring a couple of ladies if you want. But anyway, and so you go, we can rent a house, and if we go in the winter, you can find one that has a river next to it or something, and they'll drill, they'll have that hole drilled in the ice, and we can do the Wim Hof thing. Yes! We can go to the sauna and then go into the ice. Isn't that funny how that became such a huge fucking marketing thing in America? Where in Russia they've been doing that literally for over 200 years. There's saunas that are still in Moscow. I think the oldest one is 1904, something like that. Like the first few years of 1900s. There's one that's still there. So anyway, people have been doing that for a long time.
Yeah. So what were we talking about? I guess so. Like
you were saying you bounced. That was your
evolution.
bounce. Yeah, that was like your bounce away. So you kind of discovered some people talking about Ray.
No, actually, I discovered people talking about Jack Cruz.
Oh, of course.
Do you know about him?
Yeah. We talked about it in the last podcast a little bit. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I was doing his stuff for a while, and yeah, it's very fascinating. I think he has like terrible writing style. He really needs like an editor or somebody to like, because he'll just like go like talk about like I mean. He was like the first like major example of it, but I've like come across other people like this that will write like this, and I just call it like boomer writing, because I don't know. I don't want to go into like a whole explanation of like what it is, but it just annoys me to no end. Because like so you'll read like several pages of stuff and you're like, what the hell was he trying to say? It's not because it was like. It's not because it was like anything like particularly brilliant. It's just because he doesn't know how to actually like explain it. He doesn't know how to like give the idea to you. And so,
there's just
so that was
like
like a big.
Yeah, there's some people that are good at it. Like Dave Asprey. You hate him all you want, but he's very good at it, ain't he?
Yeah,
I mean,
he's a very good.
He may
like,
not be
marketer.
right, and he's usually not right, but he's very good at putting it down and people being like,
oh no, he makes it. He puts things into like a very easy way to understand. I mean, that's actually why I got into it, is because he put it into a system, and I was like, oh, okay, now there's this system that I can understand this like narrative, and that's really what got me into it. But yeah, and then just kind of exploring. I think it was mostly just like one guy on the forum. I mean, there was like several guys that were kind of, exploring and looking at different stuff. But yeah, so they would, talk about some of these other people on the forum, and I just ended up checking them out as well. And yeah, it was mostly Jack Cruz for a while. And I don't remember like why. Like what specifically led me to Ray. I mean, I do know there was a particular quote, he was talking about basically how we should the ideal like way to live is like a child on like Christmas, this like joy and like expansion and and just like you're just excited about life and you're curious and stuff like that. And so that just always stuck with me. And so eventually, like, yeah, I was just like, okay, what does this guy have to say? Like, and that's the hard part about Ray, is like finding out like where to start.
Yeah.
Like it is a little bit easier with his website because he just like lists the titles. And so you can kind of pick something that might sound interesting to you, and I did, but it didn't work.
Plus, you got to be kind of well versed in some of the
times.
physiology and biology stuff, right? And his writing style is a lot better, but there's also a lot of times where it's like, man, this is fucking dry. Like you got to be really into it to be excited about reading it, though, right? I mean, the average layman person is just not. The average Dave Asprey follower is not going to read that. For sure.
Or like the Jack, like it was funny in the Jack Cruz, they would just like make fun of like Ray for like drinking orange juice and stuff like that. They'd be like, yeah, he's just got his like there was like this caricature of like Ray just like having like an atrophied brain and just sipping on orange juice and whatnot because they're doing like the low carb stuff. So what's like the worst thing you can do is have carbohydrates.
Oh my god, you're gonna get diabetes. Just wait, he'll get it eventually. He's 80 something, but eventually it'll catch up to him, right?
Yeah.
Oh man.
So yeah, I was like reading his his article, like the Great Fish Oil Experiment. And that actually wasn't like very convincing, because I was looking into that as like a counterpoint to Jack Cruz, because Jack Cruz is like huge on eating like fish and oysters,
oily fish and stuff.
Yeah,
right?
for the DHA and stuff like that. So I was looking into it as like a counterpoint, and that article didn't really it wasn't very convincing to me, just like what he was talking about. But he has other articles that also discuss it. And they were a lot more convincing to me. The ones that talk about, like, it was the Burr experiments, like George and Mildred Burr, like when he's talking about that, and just like hearing about that stuff, you can start to see it. So for me, when somebody explains or like is saying, comes at you like, that guy's wrong, or something like that, or like I'm right. What you do is to really convince me is you have to, like, obviously, provide some evidence for why you're right, but also like evidence for why he's wrong, but he thinks he's right. So having like the George and Mildred Burr experiments, seeing like how you get from point A to point B. Yeah. Like
It's sort of what I like about race.
How it all starts, basically.
Yeah, but
as opposed to just like working backwards.
Yeah, for me, a lot of the stuff that Ray writes, I like it because it lets you kind of make up your own mind. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not like oh, Dave Asprey's an asshole, he's wrong, you know, because a lot of people do that. A lot of people do that also in a much nicer way, right? Yeah. Like you know, like Ben Greenfield will do that sometimes too. Like sometimes you'll read something and it's sort of like this, like there's this assumption, like it's just like, oh, of course you don't want to eat sugar, duh, asshole. Here's what you do instead. Right? There's a lot of that. It's like I said, you know, I'm putting it my way when I say asshole, but like I said, there's people that do that all the time in just a much nicer way. And I don't really enjoy that either. I enjoy it when somebody tells you, like you said, point A to point B, how they could have got there from that point to that point. And I enjoy it when somebody lets me kind of make up my own mind and think about it, because it's so basic, for lack of a better term, to just let me, to just say like, oh, that's wrong. There's why, you know. So, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, well, it just makes a lot more sense, because like one of the things that I always find interesting is like, how do we get these ideas? You know, why do we think that cholesterol causes heart disease? Like, where did that come from? Why is like salt bad? You know, where'd that idea come from? And so it's the same thing, with the PUFAs. It's like, where did this idea that PUFA is good come from? And so when you trace it back, you kind of realize that, like, there's, you know, at best, it's kind of like circumstantial. Like, for instance, like the cholesterol thing, that was something I knew about, you know, in my bulletproof days, because I think like Dave Asprey talks about that. Like, you know, they fed, you know, a rabbit cholesterol. Maybe even like oxidized cholesterol, and they're like, look, it's you know, doing his it's you know, blocking his arteries and whatnot. It's like, because you're not supposed to feed rabbits
because they're not eating cholesterol, you fucking asshole. Yeah, I know, dude. That's
or
stuff.
And the other thing too that's significant is you know, cholesterol is like one of the first things that we really had like blood tests for. And so it's a marker, you know, it's like this thing, like, I mean, people talk about like this, you know, like if you don't measure it, it doesn't improve. You know, so like you need to like measure things, or like my kind of like corollary to that is like the things that don't get measured are what gets ignored. So like, because we can measure cholesterol.
Yeah, and easily, right? It's like pretty easy to measure it, right? Exactly. It's pretty accurate, right? If it was something very complex, if measuring cholesterol required for you to get a bone fucking scan, like, right, you know what I'm saying? If you had to like dig into your bone and get it out of there to measure it, give you like a big shot in the fucking hip or something, it wouldn't be the thing that we talked about, right? It would be something else. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. So like, just understanding like these circumstantial things, like that's why you know. Reading Ray Peat is so interesting, is because, you know, he's been reading for so long, has like discovered so many things, and not only that, but he's also been alive and reading things, you know, like contemporary to a lot of these things. Like, he's been reading stuff since like the 1940s, I think, because he was reading at like an extremely young age, and he said he would like read like medical journals. So all like through like half of this century, he's been reading and watching all of this happen, and so he has a much better like view. You know, it's kind of like just remember like some event that happens today and your view of it, and then in 20 years you're gonna like read about it in like some you know, history textbook, and you're gonna be like, that's not really how it went down.
Yeah, or at least it's not the way that I remember it, right?
Yeah. And so just Ray like is invaluable for that alone.
Yeah.
You know, just having that perspective, because literally everybody that's like an expert on nutrition today.
Well, they're also like 32 years old, right? It's like some guy that's like 30, just got out of college. Even if he's a doctor, right? He's a doctor. Yeah. He just got out of college, 32 years old, got 100,000 followers on Instagram. Boom, fucking expert, right?
Well, even like these older doctors that are like, you know, 60 or 70 years old, and they just like get on the the paleo train and whatnot. And it's like, this has basically been a blind spot for you for your entire career. So, you being a 60-year-old surgeon or something like that doesn't give you like any kind of credibility. You're basically in the same camp as the rest of us.
Yeah. Life's funny that way, right? Because it's like, it's okay, right? It's okay that you had a blind spot all your life, right?
Yeah.
But the problem is that our current medical system and just overall health, industry, it's like, it needs to give you like a prescription or like a thing to do, and that this is it. Even though I've had this blind spot for 40 years, you still should avoid cholesterol because we've all known for many years that cholesterol is bad. Versus like, well, like you said, oh, okay, there's this correlation that maybe people with higher cholesterol have more heart disease, but we're not really sure about it. We're going to keep exploring and researching. Like, you don't get that sense, right, from the medical industry or even science industry in general, right? It's just like, no, trust us. Like, we know, right? That's what's really fucked up.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So you got into race stuff, and, you brought up that fish oil. I just remembered that I was going to say, that's what I like about it, because reading that fish oil experiment, the article, what is it called again? I forgot. You said The Great Fish Oil Experiment, I think he says.
I need to like find, that's the one that wasn't convincing, but
well, whatever one it was that where he talked about how they used to use linseed oil, which is now flax oil,
right. That was also
for varnish on houses. And then I remembered I Googled that years ago on YouTube. It might still be up there. And there was like a news report of like some house burning down.
Yeah,
you seen that? You've seen that?
I saw that.
Oh, see, and I remember like thinking like, isn't like you said, it allows you to make this thing of like, yeah, why do we eat that if this shit is flammable on houses, right? It's like crazy.
Yeah.
But again, he didn't say. He just says, yeah, they used to use it as varnish, and I find that so kind of eloquent. It's like, interesting.
Yeah.
So, because I mean, how many people now that put flax oil and everything in their smoothies every day, and just because they were told like, this is it, this is what you should use, do it.
Well, and like a varnish, the reason like why it has that property is because it kind of like hardens as like a kind of resin. It's there to protect the wood. And so like, when it oxidizes, that happens, and that's why that happens. But I think that's kind of just the fact that you like, it's just so flammable that it's just like, just interacting with the air, it will like spontaneously combust.
Fucking funny. It's got to be good for you. But they said, Steve, they said it that it helps.
Yeah, but we also got to be careful about like not making assumptions about like things that are the same way on the outside as they are on the inside. I got two examples of that. So one is like the classic like vegan vegetarian thing, like saturated fat, it's just like pouring a bunch of oil down your drain or something like that, because when it gets cold, you put like cold water, it's going to harden up, and then that's what it does in your arteries, and it's like,
of course,
okay, that's not what actually happens, because like also if I just like shove a bunch of broccoli down there, the same thing happens. So like, what's your point?
It's funny, man.
But then Jack Cruz will do the same thing. He will say, sugar. You get like some maple sugar or something like that, or like soda maybe, and you set it, you spill some on your countertop, and then what happens like after you like leave it for the day, it like hardens.
It's all sticky, and that's what's going to be inside your body.
Yeah, that glycation. It's going to glycate all your proteins, and it's like, that's not what actually happens in your body.
Oh man, yeah, that's funny, right? It's because
there's a whole different like biological system in your body.
It's so interesting, man. I don't know. Do you think it's because those people are just tired of like rehashing scientific studies, so they try to come up with these stupid, analogies?
Well, yeah, they're like metaphors, like analogies, and I mean, that's the it's a great way to get your point across, to help people think about things. I mean, like metaphors are really powerful. I like to use them in a lot of ways, but you just got to be careful that, because like every metaphor is only a metaphor. There's if it was the same thing, then it would
Yeah.
be the same thing.
It's still not the real thing. Like I can tell you
Yeah.
all the metaphors for, having great sex, right? But it's like until you experience it, right? It's just not going to be the same thing.
Yeah.
Oh man. So did you, when you got into his work and started, getting more, I mean, nobody's ever convinced, you know what I'm saying? But at least, hearing out his point of view, did you try the kind of traditional Ray Peat, what people think is the Ray Peat diet or whatever, drinking, what is it, like 3 quarts of milk, 2 quarts of orange juice? No, seriously.
So what actually ended up happening is I was reading his stuff, doing like the Jack Crew stuff, and then there's like this dietary clash basically. And I'm like, Ray stuff is like very convincing. And I just didn't know what to do. Like I basically became like a dietary nihilist. Like I was just like completely like agnostic. I didn't know what to do. And so for a while I just like didn't care. I was like, all right, I don't care anymore. Like I'm just gonna eat burritos at work, and drink soda because Ray Peat and and I got like my raw milk.
So you just have like a reason for everything that you're doing. Like I'm doing this because he said this, but I'm also not doing that because he said not to do that. Or
yeah, and and I gained a lot of weight.
Just eating whatever, you mean, not really focusing on anything.
Yeah. And eventually I did, because I didn't know what to do. Like I was like, I wanted to like, I was like, man, it was so much easier when I was like living with my parents, because then like my mom would just make the food. I didn't have to like make these decisions. That was the problem, is I still have to make a decision about what to eat, but I don't feel confident about anything that I'm eating or like what I'm doing with my diet overall.
Plus there's different, plus, I mean, whether you like it or not, American culture is very much so centered around food that's prepared already. You know what I mean? Like the TV dinners and stuff, I mean, when I was growing up in Russia, I remember, what movie was it? It was some movie with Sylvester Stallone, maybe, I think. I can't remember, but one of those cheesy 80s movies, 80s movies, where, they show kids opening up the TV dinner and the food is like, they got the green beans, you got the mashed potatoes here. I mean, looking at that as like a kid that's never seen that was like, it's like, dude, this is fucking crazy. This is awesome. Like I can't wait to do that. And then you move here and you try it and you realize the food is so fucking bad. Like it's so awful. Yeah. It's never good. But, it's centered around, that ready food, fast food, even the healthier stuff, right? It's still like a lot of people consider like Chipotle like a healthier stuff, and that's fine. Like, so people, are ready for food. And I think you probably were just like grabbing and going, right? Instead of like sitting down and like cooking food and like preparing something and like doing a salad and doing this. Whereas a lot of cultures like, that's what your mom did or your wife did or even you did.
Yeah, I mean, a part of it too was like at the time I was working a job where I was like 12 hours a day of like manual labor for months on end. Yeah. And so I just didn't really have like the energy to do any of that. Or, to make like good decisions. It's really hard to like make a good decision when you're like incredibly tired and just like worn out and stuff like that. So
definitely.
So yeah, that proceeded for a while, because I was also so like the paleo and like Jack Cruz and Bulletproof, like you said, they like the fat. And so I also read Denise Minger's like low fat, in defense of low fat article. And so that made me like really reconsider stuff about doing low fat and high carbohydrate. And I tried doing because the Walter Kempner like rice diet is just like basically just rice and sugar.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking crazy.
the problem with that is like just eating plain rice with no salt.
It's not tasty.
No, not at all. So I struggled to like do that.
So you tried that diet for real? You tried the rice diet?
Very like half-heartedly.
For like a couple days or something like that?
Yeah.
Oh man.
yeah, so so at the time I was just I didn't really know what to do, and I ended up getting into like the vitamin A deficiency diet stuff, and so like the basically what you do, you just eat rice with meat, and that ended up working for me.
So you lost a lot of weight, or what do you mean by working?
I didn't lose a lot of weight. Actually, most of my weight loss came while I was in Russia.
Well, of course, surprise, surprise, motherfucker.
And I mean, yeah, I got a half dozen different ideas for why that is, but yeah, I did lose some weight, but I was keeping steady at like a certain level. I think like in America, like it's just like natural to gain weight because like there's like so many things to worry about and you're stressed and you have to like deal with everything. So in a way you're kind of like almost like physically like armoring yourself by like creating like this extra mass. And also like the fat's supposed to be like, people would say like it's protective for like stress and whatnot. So basically you're just like armoring up to like deal with like this American lifestyle. But when I was in Russia, my lifestyle was very different. I felt like there was a lot of like potential, and I didn't have like lots of stuff to worry about. The kind of just at camp I was basically just like a babysitter for kids.
Yeah.
Compare that to like my jobs that I have in America. It's way less stressful.
Yeah.
So
and you're learning a lot of stuff. Your brain is working all the time because you're thinking about things and learning new words. And then when you're on your free time, you're probably traveling and seeing stuff. So you're definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, for sure, the walk. That's one of the most fucked up things about America is the walking culture. Just walking and just public transportation is so fucked up here. And don't tell me about San Francisco. It's not the same thing. Go fuck yourself, okay? And New York, it's not the same. I mean, yes, maybe New York is like the one city in America where people actually walk, but it's still so different, because you still have the taxis everywhere, like all the time, right? It's not that long. I mean, well, like I said, it's definitely a lot closer to what like a European culture used to be, where you just walk a lot, right? And like, you want to go to the store, yeah, let's go. You walk down. Whereas in America, it's like, you want to go to the store, walks to the door that leads to the garage, sits inside car, opens garage, drives, parks as close as possible to the Walmart, right?
Yep.
Yep. And then like, and also I remember like living in Ohio, people would like. People would drive around in a parking lot and I'd be like, what the fuck are you doing? They're like, I'm looking for a close parking space. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
It's literally 30 seconds extra, literally. But that's one thing that's culturally, like you said, it's just
I think that's
not
just
a part
like,
of the culture.
You get into like this mode, when you're driving and stuff like that, you're completely different, like your relationship with the world. Because I mean, yeah, like I'm aware of that, and I'm critical of other people for doing that, but I still find myself doing the same thing. Like it's like I want to get
too.
like the closest spot
For sure.
And
me too.
Yeah, it's because it's like it's all about efficiency and optimizing stuff. Whereas like, yeah, if you're just like walking around and like interacting with the world, it's no problem at all. If like someone like is like kind of like walking in your way, or like they like slow down or something like that while you're walking, like it doesn't matter at all. But somebody wants to go like 2 miles per hour slower than you on the highway or something like that. That's a problem.
Yeah, man. Yeah, like you said, I'm guilty of it too. It's just it's a thing built upon a thing upon a thing. It's not like like I said, it's not like anybody's encouraging like don't walk. Of course, everybody's always talking about you should walk more and do this more. But there's a lot of reasons for it, like you said. Just having houses, for example. When I grew up in Russia, I never seen a house. We lived in apartment buildings like everybody else does, right? You live in an apartment building. So that means you have to get out of your apartment, go down the elevator, walk outside, and then go where the fuck you're going. If you want to go take a bus, it's not right outside your door. You know what I'm saying? You got to like walk to the bus stop and then walk back. Whereas here you have a home, like I said, opens the garage, drives in, gets out on the couch, and then back to it, So it's just a different lifestyle.
The problem here is that like everybody else also has a home. with, a huge yard and house and everything. And then
Exactly.
it's like, yeah, you're living in like a city with so multiply your house by like 100,000 times. And it's like, yeah, now you can't get anywhere because like even just a gas station, like a convenience store is like a 5 or 10 minute drive away.
That's true. There's a lot more space, where people go. Yeah, there's a lot of reasons for it too. Yeah, man.
Oh yeah, like yeah, that's a huge issue.
So cool, man. So what else? So did you, like I said, did you try doing high milk diet, high orange juice diet? Did you try doing that for implementing some of those ideas from Ray?
So it's kind of, I think that like doing that kind of like the peak meme peating diet, I think actually is something that you would do after fixing your problems, like your metabolic problems and stuff like that. Because I noticed that when I came back from Russia and my metabolism was a lot better, I lost all that weight and stuff like that. I was able, like a lot of the things that I was doing, I had more success with. Like I was noticing that they worked better for me.
Yeah, it's interesting thought, like for example, with milk. I mean, again, did you notice milk was kind of pretty popular in Russia? I mean, there's a lot of dairy products, I feel like.
I didn't have a lot of milk, and I think that's actually one of the things that contributes to my weight gain here.
Yeah, because you have access to a lot of milk that you're constantly drinking all the time, and cereal and all kinds of stuff.
Well, I mean, yeah, I so all of my weight gain has basically come after I started drinking raw milk. And at first, it was really actually like I just like grew muscles from. I was doing like the Matt Stone like RARF diet or something like that, like refeed or something like that.
But yeah,
you basically just like eat whatever. Is basically what it is.
That's all that it is.
Like so you just like eat, and for me that meant because I was doing paleo, so I was doing paleo, and then I was like, all right, I'm gonna do this like Matt Stone thing. So I got my raw milk, and I started eating like oatmeal and putting like butter and like maple syrup in that oatmeal, and yeah, like I just like I grew. Yeah. Like my buddy at work, because I didn't work for a while, and then I saw him. He's like, "Man, it looks like you like ate like the old Steven or something."
So you got thick with three C's. Thick.
Yeah, I did. Because like I grew a lot of muscle, but there was also fat as well.
Yeah, and that's the same thing. That's what I was sharing my experience too. Yeah, with milk, it's like I love milk. We didn't have a lot of milk in Russia, but it's definitely part of the diet. Like tvarog, which is like our kind of version of cottage cheese, is very popular, especially amongst like weightlifters or whatever, people who are into fitness and stuff. Yeah, but again, it's like limited amount. It's not like, you're drinking a half gallon of milk like Matt Stone recommends or whatever the fuck. But definitely like when I drink milk, I get thick, and I just get, like you said, you get the muscles, but like you get fat too, man. Yeah, you definitely, it's a growing boy food. So I have, I'm sure the hardcore Ray Peters will probably have some very intricate, interesting explanation of explaining why, like
I think you need to like eat like low fat milk is what they would say.
Yeah, but I've tried that and I still get thick, and then I tried just cutting milk out completely. Not the same.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, I kind of feel like there's just like something about like the food environment in America. Like you can, get like the most organic biodynamic stuff you want, and it's still not going to be as good as something in a country that is much more, cares much more about its food supply.
Yeah.
Just because like it's not, your one farm here is like part of an entire like ecosystem, and not only that, but it's also in the electromagnetic frequency as everything else. If we're going to say that that's affecting stuff, then it doesn't really matter if you're like growing stuff biodynamic if it's having to deal with the electromagnetic pollution that everybody else is.
Well, where did they get the seeds, right? Who gave them the seeds? Monsanto, and then they grow in them, organically. It doesn't matter, right? It's like, yeah, it's interesting. People say that a lot with wheat, right? Like they'll go to Italy and they'll have pasta there, and they're like, wow, it tastes so much better, and it's makes you feel less bloated. But it's true. It really is fucking true. It tastes so much better, and it really does make you feel less bloated.
One of my favorite like breakfast meals whenever I'm over in like Europe or Russia is having it's like chocolate. It's like pain au chocolat. Like I never took French, so, but yeah. So you have like this like chocolate bread and like a pastry and coffee. Yeah. You just have that. Like I remember being in Germany, and I was like standing outside of a cafe once, and I saw some girls. It was like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning. And I would see these girls go in and they would order that. And I was like, oh, that's their breakfast. So I tried that and I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. It's very low protein. So like you'll be hungry in a couple of hours, but it's still, it's very, like I've had it a couple times and it's been like almost like euphoric. Like you just feel really great.
It's true.
But that's something that I would probably never try to do here. I don't even know like where would I get that kind of stuff. Like
Starbucks is not the same.
No, Starbucks. There's
not
no,
even
like,
close.
No, like Starbucks. There's like everything is just like drenched in like greasy fat. Like
it's
you can't order like
pastries that they warm up and then they taste better because they're warmed up. But it's not even close to like a croissant that's made like you said in the morning in that fucking bakery or whatever, or in the coffee shop. But still like. Quantity still matters because people will say that about Italians, right? They'll be like, oh, they're not fat because look at all the pasta they eat and all the bread they eat, and they're not fat. And I've been in Italy a bunch, and how they eat is they wake up, they have their coffee with a croissant, like you said, or some sort of pastry, and then they're not eating all fucking day until dinner time, and then they'll eat a big giant ass dinner, and then they go to sleep. And that's it. That's usually how they eat. So,
same thing with the French too, actually.
Yeah. It's very, kind of European kind of thing. So, they're not having because a lot of people here will have a Starbucks coffee and a pastry and then the McDonald's, and then they got lunchtime. So they'll have a little, lunch, and then they'll have another, right? So it's like, you guys you're not really eating the same way. You just think you are, you're eating some of the same foods, but it's not the same.
Yeah, that was one of the differences. Because here, like I'm eating more like in anticipation, because I'm like, okay, well, I need to like eat this so I don't get like low blood sugar and and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Because like my job, because I don't want to have to like pull over and then have to eat something. So I'm just going to like eat everything that I need to at lunch. Mm-hmm. Because I don't have time to like take a 45-minute break to have a snack or something like that. Mm-hmm. So I'm basically forcing myself. I'm overeating. Whereas in Russia, that was actually one of the things that I experimented with. I mean, coming over from the flight, like I didn't want to eat anything because I like the stress of the flight and just like the worry of travel and going to a new place and stuff like that. Like my appetite basically shut down for a couple of days. Yeah, and dude, so
after 11 hours in a plane, you're just like, fuck everybody. You want to just lay down and sleep somewhere comfortable.
Yeah. And so like my appetite was very low. And so I just kind of like slowly just started eating more like at the camp. The camp was great because like they make food for you. Like I said, these really great meals. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so, and also because like it was regularly scheduled, like I knew I was going to be able to, so if I didn't quite eat enough, it's okay because like in 90 minutes we'll get like a snack and I'll eat then. Mm-hmm. So I was eating a lot smaller portions. Yeah. And also I experimented because a lot of the kids too, just like, using their like their child intuition, a lot of them, they would just because they're picky eaters, they would just be like, I don't like this food, or I'm only going to eat this, so the entire plate they're like only going to eat like the mashed potatoes or something like that. Yep. And then they go and like put everything up there, and it's like And so it's basically just wasted. And I mean, like, obviously we didn't stop them, and so I just like kind of like took that as like an example from it. I was like, okay, I'm gonna try and just be more judicious about the food, like the amount of food that I'm eating, because like, and it's just circumstantial because, like I said, you're at the cafeteria and they're making food for you constantly, so yeah. I think that was part of why I had less food, is because how I'm portioning stuff here is different.
Of course. Did you see any vending machines there standing around with Mountain Dew and Doritos? Not really, right?
No, I don't think so.
So you know what I'm saying? Like, you're bombarded with food here. You just have vending machines everywhere,
Yeah, exactly.
right? You have a fucking red box next to a vending machine, a 7-Eleven, and you're bombarded with food, and it still matters, right? If it's there, like, you're gonna eat it, you know. Plus, you're stressed out because you hate your fucking job, and you have, and then you're having a bad relationship, you know. It's just like, so food helps. But it's true, you know. I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, the Matt Stone way of eating that'll make you fat.
Right, and and I see a lot of people, talking about, being fat is healthy and stuff like that, because it helps you deal with stress, and we gotta have our thick girls to make healthy babies and stuff like that.
Well, that's
and
true, though.
Like,
Just kidding.
I think that's correct to an extent. I have like a very particular way that I phrase this, and so I haven't reviewed like what I've written about that, so I'm not going to try right now. But basically, like, I think like the fat is an adaptation, like having this extra fat and mass and stuff like that. That doesn't mean it's bad. It is like, we should just like see it as a step. And if you just are always just like fat for the rest of your life, then you only like healed yourself part of the way.
Yeah, well, it's so cliche to say moderation, or to say like have balance, right? But it's also like, if you're ripped all the time, which you won't be ripped all the time because you eventually crash somewhere or somewhat.
Yeah.
That's also not healthy. But if you're fat all the time too, it's not good. It's kind of that, like, sort of try to be in the middle, right? If you're too much of either, it's not going to work well. But yeah, we definitely have an obsession with being shredded. Do you think a lot of people just give up? You think they just kind of go fuck it and they just go full, like, I don't know, John Candy style, you know what I'm saying? Just get so fat and just not give a fuck. Do you think it's like a mental thing, or do you think it's something in the food?
Well, yeah. So if there is like somebody that used to be like ripped all the time and stuff, and now they're not, it's probably because they're running on like stress hormones. And once they kind of like took their foot off the pedal, their body can relax, and now they don't have those stress hormones to compensate for that.
I definitely think it's true with my experience, and with experience working with some clients too, that, yeah, like you said, this happens to chicks a lot, because they're so obsessed with being shredded.
There's the mystery of the babushka, because you'll see like these gorgeous, thin young women in Russia and a lot of the former Soviet Union, and they just like transform into the babushka,
Babushka.
Babushka.
There you go. I gotta correct you on the accent, bro.
No, yeah, I'm sorry. It's difficult when I see the word, but I don't really hear it pronounced.
But hey, I mean, listen, if you most Americans start speaking with, like, they say the words, but they say the accent wrong, and dude, it's still going to be very impressive. It just doesn't matter. You'll just, over time, people will correct you, and then you'll just get the accent.
Yeah, I always like to do "Я говорю
nice.
Хорошо."
Хорошо. Or you can say chut-chut. You can say chut-chut.
Yeah.
Like
that's
a little
joke. I'm like accentuating the accent for comedic effect.
I see. Well, Yeah, I don't.
Uh,
That happens with girl. I mean, it happens with guys too, man. Because
oh
those
yeah,
like
yeah,
fitness
totally.
guys that, like to
Well,
get
all the
shredded.
big like lifters and stuff like that, they all got big bellies, and they're
For
just
sure.
just thick. Like
Yep.
there's nobody. Yeah.
I
So
think there's a lot of truth to that running on stress hormones. It's an idea that really is bounced around a lot in Ray Pete's stuff, but I, from my experience, it's kind of true, man. It's kind of true.
yeah, I mean, I don't really have. I don't feel like I have the answer for that yet. It's just something that I think about a lot, and I observe it in other people.
Hmm.
Because yeah, like I said, to me, it's kind of like a mystery. Like why does this happen? Like, and some people would say that it's basically like at some point you just like break down. You just get too old, and like the youthful hormones aren't working anymore.
Hmm.
And I don't know, like why did the youthful hormones work in the first place? Like
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's an interesting thought, right? So yeah. So what's your relationship with food now, man? Is there anything that is it easier to say what you avoid maybe than it is to say like what's included in your diet, or is there, if there's anything at all that you avoid?
Um, lately I've been doing a lot of eggs.
Hmm.
Uh, for a while, like, or a couple of weeks ago, like they just like tasted amazing. Like my body just always craved eggs. Like I would like eat something, and then my body would be like, "That was great," but you know what else would be great? An egg. Um, and like now I kind of like I've sated that craving. But I'm just kind of like going with it because right now it's basically egg season. Like all the chickens have started laying again, stuff like that. So I'm like, well, maybe it's because like it's like, like this new, you know, um, a blossoming,
Yeah,
it's egg season basically. All the chickens started laying,
something
and
in the
so
air. Yeah.
yeah. Um, so that's kind of what I'm experimenting with right now, which is actually kind of it's anti-repeat because that's like
Too much PUFA?
the right. You're only supposed to have 2 eggs a
Oh
day.
no, I had 3 today. Fuck.
Yeah.
Oh no.
And I'm kind of
Well, it's funny he says that,
I
right?
have
Because I've also heard an interview where he said, "Oh, when I'm in Mexico, and they're having tortillas and fruits, I'll have 4 or 5 eggs." And sometimes I wonder if Ray. I know he keeps up somewhat, with the times, but sometimes I do wonder how much he keeps up with the current, where things are headed these days. Because yes, there's definitely like if you go to Ralph's or Kroger, I don't know what you guys have in Colorado, but the basic generic supermarket, those cheap eggs, yeah, they're like so bland, they're so white, right, and they taste
yeah.
super bland and they're awful. But you can definitely find, I mean, they're $10, like like we were talking
Yeah.
about earlier. It's too expensive, but you can definitely find like pasture raised eggs from chickens that actually run around in the woods and picking bugs and have a variety of food in their diet. So it's like I do wonder if he is aware of those things. Like you can because I don't know if it's like a economical thing that he doesn't recommend. Like go and buy the best pasture organic eggs you can. So he just recommends he just says have 2 eggs, right? Instead of like recommending
Yeah.
the best eggs. I don't know why he does that. So I don't know if you have any ideas.
Um yeah, so like another thing for him was that the eggs, like all the bioavailable protein would basically give him reactive hypoglycemia. Like he talked about like almost like fainting from the low blood sugar.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm actually I'm experimenting. I'm trying to see if it actually like whenever I do have low blood sugar, that I have an egg and it actually fixes that. Because I think that like the choline in an egg and a lot of the other vitamins will actually help your liver create energy, and so that will fix the blood sugar problem. That's like one of my ideas that I'm kind of experimenting with right now.
A lot of people are aware that like eggs increase your insulin, right? A lot, like more than other foods. You know
Right,
about
that's
that?
because of like the bioavailable protein. That's why that happens.
So that's why that
'Cause-
happens.
Yeah.
And so the thinking there would be that means that you're going to be hypoglycemic faster than if you were to have some whatever chicken breast or beef, right?
Uh, Yeah.
Well,
I mean, like any kind of protein really would do it. I mean, that was yeah. Um, crap. Oh yeah. So about the PUFA. So my feeling about like PUFA is that you should be like PUFA maxing or PUFA minimizing or whatever. Later in life, because if you're really being anal about how much PUFA you're getting in your diet, you're not going to have like sardines and oysters and eggs, which are all like tremendously they have like so much nutritional value. And particularly if you're in like the anabolic phase of your life, whether you're still like growing, you're young and you're still growing, you're like weightlifting, you're growing muscle, being an athlete, or you're pregnant or becoming pregnant, and as a man too, that's also important as well, having those resources to donate. Like if you're in that anabolic phase of your life, I think that the nutrition density of those foods outweighs the PUFA. Like once you are out of that phase of your life, you're older like Ray, then yeah, you can start to be a lot more concerned about having less than 5 grams of PUFA a day, or doing 1.5 grams of PUFA or something like that.
Have you ever thought that maybe that's what happens naturally anyways? Do you know what I mean? Like, because when you meet older people, they usually just eat like some toast for breakfast, right? Then they'll have some coffee or tea, then they'll have some soup, and then they'll just fucking go to sleep and fucking the middle of the day, right? And that's pretty much it for the day.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty simple. I mean, he talks about that too, like these old people just living on like 2 slices of toast and some coffee.
Yeah, there was that one, what's that veteran that died like a few years ago that was honored by Obama, I think. You know what I'm talking about? He lived to like 112 or 109 or something like that. And he just had milk, corn, and Campbell's soup. And also drank whiskey and also smoked cigars daily.
This is the funny thing about like the centenarians is like whenever people use a centenarian as like this like I saw one the other day for like raw, like this person had like raw eggs and like raw meat. And it's like, but she was like also eating toast and stuff like that, coffee. So, but it's like you can find a centenarian that did anything.
For sure.
So like they can like, be your argument for whatever. And I can find a centenarian that like drank whiskey and Coca-Cola and smoked and
chocolate
and
is
it's like
everybody loves that French woman, right?
Yeah.
The chocolate one. It's always like, well, she ate 2 kilograms of chocolate a week, bitch. So you should do it too, right? I love that.
Yeah, and always being with like young men and stuff like that.
Yeah. Ah, man, I don't know. I guess at the end of the day, it's just, not giving a fuck too much, right? Or just kind of doing your thing, doing what feels good, I guess. But I mean, do you avoid vegetable oils and stuff like that? Or, we were just talking about eating McDonald's and all that, though, so I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, actually, last night, I had a friend was doing some car work for me, and so I was getting a meal, buying a meal for him as a way of like saying thanks. And so we got something from like a chicken place and
Chick-fil-A?
No, actually not.
I've never had it. Everybody talks about it all the time. I mean, there's always
I really like it.
There's like a couple locations in LA, and there's always a fucking line. And so I'm not that guy.
Yeah,
you know those people
buy stock in a company, it'd be Chick-fil-A.
Don't do it. Just kidding. But you know those people.
They're always
you're
busy.
one of those guys, right? You'll stand in line for an hour for something that somebody was like, bro, you got to try this. This is the best hot wings in the world. And you stand for an hour, right? And then you got them, and then you try them, and you're like, oh, it's so good. I give it 20 minutes, and then I'm like, I'm so OCD, dude, or no, ADD, that I'm just like, I can't. I don't want to stand for. I'll just go to McDonald's, you know what I mean, or whatever. I don't have the patience.
And actually,
so what did you eat with your buddy?
Well, these things are just like so fatty, like, and same thing. I went to like this burger place, like a craft burger place, down by my brother's, and like whenever I'm eating these, like I almost like want to like throw up. Like it's not. It's just I don't know like the sensation or whatnot, but like you don't really feel like very like full or satiated, but like yeah, it's just like so fatty.
This is burgers you're talking about?
Yeah, a lot of burger places.
Yeah, you know, when I eat like a In and Out every so often, haven't had one. I haven't had one in the whole, you know, during the whole pandemic time or whatever. I haven't. So anyway, but when I do, yeah, dude, it's so good going down, but then like an hour later, you're just like, fuck. You're just like, fuck my life. You feel so full after that stuff. And it's funny, right? If you made a burger at home and you just like cook it in butter and just have like even regular bread, nothing, no like sourdough, whatever, you know, it's so much easier to digest, right?
Yeah.
So it's got to be the oils then, right, that make people feel so awful. What do you think it is?
I think it's like just like the amount, like everything is just like so greasy.
Mm.
And I mean, yeah, like now I'm just like really, really sensitive to it, I guess. Like it never used to bother me like more than like a year ago. But yeah, I'll just like have the, you know, go to like Smash Burger or something like that and get like their like mushroom and Swiss, and it's just like so greasy.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's just like super, super heavy. And so like you'll feel full, but like in like half an hour, it's like I still want to like eat something. I don't feel like I got like all the protein that I needed or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, burger places especially, they're always like a little thin on their meat, right? And it's like this. It's not the same. Like if you make it at home, you can make a nice, solid, thick with 3 C's. You know, little patty and all that. Yeah, so do you do like do you take vitamin E when you eat out or anything like that? Do you do anything special?
I've never really found that vitamin E helped me very much.
Mm-hmm. Never felt any benefits from it.
No. Yeah, I mean lately, yeah, I haven't really like done like a protocol for like eating out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I guess what I might do would be like maybe have some aspirin.
With food.
Yeah.
And it makes you feel like you digest it better or what?
It'll like block some of the effects of like the PUFA and kind of like make your blood run better.
Mm-hmm. Are you one of those guys that takes it every day?
No. I mean like I'm still like figuring out how it works for me.
Yeah, I'm torn about it, right? Because there's a lot of people
yeah.
that take it every day, right? Like small amounts of aspirin every day. I have that aspirin book. You ever read that one? A big, thick book. No, there's a cool book. I'll send it to you later, you know, or people can look it up. It's pretty cool. He goes from like the whole history of it, like, you know, how they used to use it in Egypt and how the guy found. You heard about that? Yeah, how they.
I think I was looking up like the history of like aspirin one time, and I probably came across it.
It's like the book. I think if you Google it, it's like it comes up. So you know, it's something. I think it's just aspirin or whatever. But it's kind of interesting, you know. And there's a lot of people that take it every day. But I'm torn, you know. Like I don't know if it's my. Like I think there's definitely a part of Russian culture where people aren't really big on like you know, in America everybody's on something all the time. Like you're on serotonin, SSRIs, or you're on you know, modafinil, or you're on Vyvanse, or I'm on cholesterol, I'm on statins. In Russia it's not like part of the culture to like, it's not looked at like it's not looked at as if it's normal, you know, if you're on a certain prescription or drug or anything like daily, you know what I mean? So I have this relationship where like, yeah, I've tried supplementing thyroid and all that, but like I don't know if I want to take thyroid every single day. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't want to feel like I'm dependent on it for my daily function, you know? And same thing with aspirin. I feel like yeah, it may have all these benefits and stuff, but like I don't know. I feel like there's something in me that's like, you know, I want my body to do it without me having to be dependent on this external thing that does this for me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, so a lot of my daily stuff is just like B vitamins and like magnesium, and then I'm like trialing different stuff here and there. And thankfully, I've like found a lot of stuff that I do notice an effect.
Like what?
And that, well, there's several different things that would take a while to go through. But I mean, I think there's a lot of people that are taking supplements just because like somebody said it was a good idea, and not because there's an actual effect. Like you should really start start taking supplements based on like, well, when I take this happens, or if I don't take this, then this happens, and not just because well, this guy was talking about how this did that, and so it's a good idea to take it. It's like, yeah, but did you notice it did anything for you?
Yeah, but Dave Asprey said CoQ10 gets my brain fired up, right? That's so common though, right?
Yeah, and so vitamin E is one of those. It's where like I've never really like noticed an effect like for me taking it or stop taking it.
So if you could pick two that you noticed the most effect from, what would they be? Only two. I'm gonna
just supplements, yeah.
Yeah, supplements, or whatever. I guess it could be over the counter stuff. Could be aspirin. You know what I mean? If I throw you on a Russian island off the coast of Siberia in the northern sea there, what would you take with you? Would it be the B vitamins?
I mean, like specifically B vitamins, like the two like most beneficial ones for me have been B2 and B5. But
B5, is that thiamine? What's B5?
Pantothenic acid.
Oh, pantothenic acid.
Yeah. Thiamine is B1. B2 is riboflavin. And the other supplement, I mean, that have been really helpful would be like methylene blue and iodine.
So you are, because Ray is not a big fan of iodine, right?
No, yeah, I know that's like a big like controversy in it, and I am kind of I'm building a case for it, because actually I came back to it recently in the past few months because I was exposed to like a different way of thinking about it. And so now I'm kind of like, because I knew about iodine like back in like my bulletproof days. I have books from like 2014, 2015 that I read. Like actually I got one right here that I was rereading, The Iodine Crisis.
Ooh.
And then there's like the other one by like Brownstein, like Iodine, Why You Need It, Why You Can't Live Without It. So I'm rereading these to understand like why didn't it make sense then? You know, because I did do it. I supplemented with iodine. I didn't like quite do like the super high doses that other people do. But it just never stuck with me. So why didn't it stick with me? Like what kind of gaps in their reasoning? And so I'm finding things that I think are missing from those iodine people, the iodine doctors, and I'm also trying and also looking at it from like the Ray Peat perspective. Because I don't really see, again, like with explaining things, Ray, sometimes he'll talk about like the Wolff-Chaikoff effect, which is you become like hypothyroid after being exposed to a lot of iodine, and even that's kind of like questionable because they're just like measuring TSH. I'm not sure if anybody actually like measured the actual metabolism of someone, if they were actually hypothyroid or if they just had low TS or really high TSH. Because if you think that the thyroid hormone is basically just a delivery mechanism for iodine, then it would make sense that there's a high TSH, because now we need to manufacture a bunch of thyroid hormone to carry all the iodine around. And that's kind of like what changed this past time, is that because even these doctor, like these people that were like are major like iodine boosters, they don't even frame it this way. They talk about a thyroid hormone, but they don't say that maybe the thyroid hormone is there to shuttle iodine around. You know, we have the same idea for a lot of other things. There are proteins in our body that take resources where they need to go. You know, like Morley Robbins talks about like ceruloplasmin and stuff like that. And so it's like, why can't we think of thyroid hormone this way? Is there something like why is, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm still building.
My relationship with iodine is like early. Like I've read a lot of stuff where it was always talking about the opposite of what Ray says. It was always talking about that it boosts boosts your metabolism, and I've had that experience, but I can't say clearly because I was on a very low carb diet, but I was taking a lot of kelp. You know, it was like kelp iodine, and I got very fucking lean, man, very lean, and it worked. So, but again, I wasn't eating a lot of carbohydrates. I was like eating I don't know around 100 grams or something. Yeah. But I definitely noticed a boost in my, you know, like I'd sweat a lot more in the workouts and blah blah blah. I got very lean doing that.
Yeah, you know what else was different about Russia for me is that I was supplementing with iodine every day, consistently.
Oh,
yeah,
like the droppers or what? The little.
Yeah, I was putting it on my skin. Yeah, I just had like four.
In Russia,
four
it's
drops.
like everything. Like, oh, you're.
Well, yeah, that's
the
thing. Yeah.
It's very...
I mean, it wasn't even that, but yeah, I did have that. I saw that. Yeah, I saw the kids. You know, they have I think it's povidone or whatever that they you know, if you get like a scratch or something like that, you go to like the nurse. Yeah,
it's the first thing they do.
Yeah. And so it's like these people don't have a problem with it. Like I don't know. It's just one of those interesting things. But yeah, so in my opinion, Ray talks about the Wolff-Chaikoff effect. We covered that. And he also talks about this other thing. And I have yet to really track down like some text for this, because he always mentions it like in like interviews. That the iodine is supposed to like to oxidize, like have like long range deteriorating effects on the thyroid tissue. And I've been trying to like kind of like half-heartedly. I haven't like done like a full like deep search for that stuff yet. So those are like the two things that he says. But so my problem is, if we can explain why people feel good from doing like low carb, or like why they feel good, you know, supplementing fish oil, you know, short term, you know, because stress hormones and, you know, fish oil is like anti-inflammatory, you know, it's like blocking inflammation. Then why do people feel good on iodine short term? And like, why would they crash later? I've never heard anybody explain like why that should be the case.
Yeah, me neither, man. It's a good question. So there you go. If somebody's out there, maybe they can reach out.
Yeah, for sure. If I haven't really had like the time to dig up this stuff yet. So if anybody wants to contact me, they already found that stuff, then please send it to me. Because yeah, I want to understand all of that argument, so that way I can, you know what it's about.
There you go. Well, yeah, my man. Doing about 2.5 hours here with you, huh?
Yeah.
And where can people send you your stuff? Where can contact you?
I mean, they can send it to my email at sbussi@live.com, or my Instagram account, Steven.Bussinger.
Oh, it's Bussinger. It's not Bussinger? I thought it was American.
Yeah, I know everybody gets that. Yeah, everybody gets it wrong.
So you say it like Bussinger. Oh, look at you, sir. Yeah. Where's your dad from?
He's American.
Well, yeah, but I mean, what's the origin of that last name? Do you know?
The Bussinger name is from Switzerland.
Switzerland. Wow.
Yeah.
Have you been?
Nope. I was going to go
Yeah.
in 2015. I was like in that area of Europe, and I didn't go because it was kind of like the end of my trip. I didn't have a lot of money, and
It's a good thing because it's fucking expensive, dude. It's
yeah,
like
exactly. Like
it's
the
like
only way to get there was like trains.
which are like 80 francs, which francs are like 150 fucking dollars. It's just like it's everything. I've been there a bunch. I have a lot of close friends there that I met in college here, and yeah, it's cool. But you know, it's almost like this perfect land where everything is perfect. Like, you know how we here we here and in Russia and in many other places we complain about like, oh, I gotta go to the DMV, like, oh fuck my life, you know, like the DMV sucks. Like, guess what? In Switzerland, it doesn't suck. It's okay. It's very fast, very efficient, and they do everything on time. And like all of it is like that. Everything is like so ideal, you know, like the trains ride on time. People are fucking nice. They'll help you out. You know, I don't. But it's almost like being there a bunch of times. I almost got this like feeling of I'm like maybe it's like too nice, you know, and because of that, it's like a little boring, you know. Like, but there's definitely a lot of cool stuff there, like the chocolate factory and you know the mountains, obviously, and all that stuff. It's a pretty cool place, of course, to visit. You know, like nature wise, it's beautiful.
Yeah, that reminds me another point that I like to make. Because in the nutrition sphere, you know, people talk about like particularly like paleo people. They'll bring up like all these examples of like these different tribes in you know different parts of the world, and like those all those tribes, they're not European, they're not like white people, and so it's like okay, well those people live in a different area and like with different environment. So like, why are we looking to them as a way to understand our past?
Mm-hmm.
And so like the Weston A. Price, like that's one of the reasons why it's so valuable is because at that time there were still, you know, European peoples living very much like how they had for thousands or, you know, at least like hundreds of years.
Yeah.
And the Swiss were one of those people, you know, they had like the Swiss tribes up in like the remote mountains and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, yeah, it's like they would basically just survive on like bread and cheese.
Yeah.
You know, and so I was like,
very
okay,
good.
now that I can understand because that's like in like my context.
Yeah.
But you know, eating all these superfoods, you know, like the acai berry or whatnot, I'm like
Quinoa.
yeah, it's like I don't know. I guess it gives you the impression that like you know, like Europe and America are just completely devoid of like any kind of like superfoods. You only they have to go to some exotic
if you want to be
place.
healthy, you got to get the goji berries from the Himalayan mountains. That's the only place you can survive. It reminds me of that. Did you see that fucking show with Zac Efron? Zac Efron?
But yeah,
on
I've
Netflix,
heard about it a couple of times.
and that
yeah.
fucking asshole salesman guy that he's with. I don't know his name. Something Olean, something like that is the last name. But you heard about it? This show, dude, it's so funny. It's like it's not on purpose funny, but it's funny because they go to these places and this guy is just like, oh man, this nut, this is the one. You got to eat this nut because this nut has so many healthy, you know, properties and this nut that nobody has ever heard of. And guess what? Wherever they are in Peru, those guys, they eat it like once a year or something. Like, you know what I'm saying? But this asshole from America that lives in Malibu, California, tells me that this is like what we should be eating because it's the healthiest thing ever. Man, those people like that. But it's really funny.
Yeah.
And then Zac Efron is there like in a beanie. He has like a beanie in like a different beanie in every shot. Like legit, it's like a red beanie, like a blue beanie. You know, he's dressed like the most California ever, and he's just like, whoa. Like every time this asshole says something like that, he's just like, wow, you know? It's like, what does that really mean, you know? Like I could take you to some places in Russia where people eat like, I don't know, fucking bear testicles. Like, and they're healthy.
Yeah.
Like, what does that really mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
There's tons of like superfoods just like all over. You never even we don't need to be like going to these exotic places to find these. A lot of it is like plant foods.
It's always plant foods. Yeah. Because it's always because those guys are attracted to that sort of shit because it's not as cool to say like, oh, you got to kill this animal to get this. Although Paul Saladino is trying that, but I don't think it's working very well. When he eats like a kidney and he pretends like it's good, like raw, he's like, and then like the shot ends and he's like, bah, like, come on. You gotta tell me you really enjoy eating a raw kidney? Fuck off. Just fuck off with that. Come on. Seriously? I mean, have you ever tried like a,
I've had raw liver. Yeah, I do raw stuff. Actually,
yeah, raw liver's all right,
I've had sheep testicles.
Oh, they're so chewy, dude. It's like a puck. It's not good.
When you cook it, it has like this really kind of like sour taste. And so now I want to like try it raw to see, because I think like when you cook it, it gives it that sour taste.
Dude, it won't beat a McGriddle. I guarantee you. Okay, that McGriddle you had will be way better. I guarantee you. Yeah, they're not. It's not. I mean, look again. Like I eat it. I eat beef liver regularly, but I enjoy beef liver. Yes, but it's also part of the Russian culture.
Yeah.
Kind of. We'll call it pashtet.
Over time. Oh, really? It's just like a Russian dish?
Pashtet
What's it called?
Is the mousse. What do they call that here in English? What's the word?
Oh, okay.
Pate. We say pashtet. That's the Russian.
Okay.
So that's very common. You can find that shit like everywhere. Pashtet. There's chicken.
Oh,
there's beef one.
That was one of the things I liked about the cafeteria. I'm gonna say it wrong again, but Stalovaya.
Stalovaya.
Okay.
There you go.
There was they would just have like liverwurst. So that's like I can go into like just like this is like going into like a McDonald's practically and finding liverwurst. Like imagine that.
And I bet not a single asshole was shooting it on Instagram and showing how cool it is, right? Because it's just normal.
Yeah, so that was one of the things that I liked about that. And they have like this like it might have been like the bee bread. You ever see people talk about that? You
had some of that?
Yeah, I think they had some at the Stalovaya.
Good Stalovaya, brother. That's good. No, that's my favorite part. People like when I go back, like, and people want to go to like you said, American restaurants in Moscow. Like, I don't do that. I specifically avoid that when I'm there. Like, if my friends, because like you said, like we talked about earlier, it's always cooler to go the opposite culture stuff. To do the opposite culture stuff. So my friends will want to go to like fucking Applebee's or whatever they have there, and I'm just like, no, I'm going to Stalovaya. I'm just going to like the cheap one, and the cheapest one usually has the best food. It just tastes the best. I mean, if you like Russian food,
Yeah. So I used to feel the same way, except for I eventually developed this. Whenever I go to like a European city, because there's like a lot of these like craft burger places, and so I like to go and check out these craft burger places. So I mean, like even though it's like an American food, because like America basically made the burger famous.
Oh, you mean like the fucking what's his name? There's a rapper in Russia that started his own burger chain. Do you know what I'm talking about? What's his name?
Maybe I probably recognize it. I mean,
you probably
there's several.
Would. Yeah.
There's like the Black Star one.
Yeah, Black Star. That's
like,
the one. That's the one.
Yeah, I actually didn't like Black Star very much.
Yeah, it sucks.
It's just it's like about like the experience or whatever,
yeah,
because
they
give you like the
Bieber's
black
fucking,
gloves.
Yeah. I can't remember the fucking guy's name right now, but anyway, people will know.
Yeah, but I think I'm trying to remember this one that I did like. I think it was like the Hero Burger or something like that. But yeah, it's just become like my thing, because I remember going in like Hamburg, Germany, actually, and finding like a really good burger place.
For sure.
So yeah, that's like my thing, is like to hunt down these like craft burger. Oh, there was also another place that I tried was like Farsh.
Farsh.
Yeah, which is like ground beef in Russian.
Yeah.
But they like, it's like FAR in like Latin script, and then they have the sha, and in the
It's not
Cyrillic.
it's not a sh. You know, there's two different ones, right? There's a sh. And there's a
Right.
sh.
Yeah, I haven't.
Can you do the difference?
Yet,
Try
it.
it.
No.
Like no.
I think the Russians will understand me.
Yeah. I'll go to those places too.
Or
Like,
actually, you know what? I figured out like a good like kind of like trick for people who are not used to is I was reading this book called Lingo, which is really fascinating. It's about like 60 different languages, like Indo-European languages and whatnot. And he talks about like his experience. It's a Dutch guy. He talks about his experience learning Russian. And so he writes these. It's not the typical transliteration that you would normally see, but like whenever you have that special sh, he puts a CHSH. That's how he. So that's kind of what I think of whenever
it's like
I do
a
it.
mixture of those two. Yeah, that makes sense.
Because you want that really like high,
softer. I would say softer, like thinner. Shh.
yeah,
Versus
exactly.
Like you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Probably
Yeah,
like a
so
fucking
having
idiot right now.
having that ch in front of it kind of just
Yeah.
like puts you, it kind of
Can
makes
you
it
do-
easier to do that.
But can you do the ts like a tsilawat? Nah, that one is fucked up, dude. Because
What?
it's not a C. It looks like the sh, but there's only two of them there. It's a ts, like a tsilawat means to kiss.
Like,
Or the word tsari.
tail.
Tsari.
Yeah,
Czar.
tsar.
You guys say z because you
Yeah.
can't say ts.
yeah, tsar. Yeah.
Yeah.
tail.
That's a tough one. Like we talked about, there's a lot of tough fucking words there. But you'll get it. You'll get it. So what's the plan? When are you gonna try to go there again? You gonna try to, or for now you're just laying back and hanging in there?
You know, I don't really know, but these past couple of days, I keep having like visions in my head, like fantasies of like
Russian
like
ladies
seeing.
just laying all over you, and you're just like ah.
Yeah. So I mean, like maybe it'll happen. Because otherwise, I was just gonna be like, you know what, fuck it, just have to not worry about it. But I don't know.
Well,
things.
you just gotta try slowly, not force it. Just try
Yeah.
it, apply for it, and then we'll get Kyle to join in, and then we'll have a nice, great little orgy in Moscow together. And that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, man. So that'd be good. So we'll do a boys trip one of these days. Thanks for coming on, brother. It was a great chat. We'll do it again sometime. Yeah, if you have some time. I appreciate it, man.
Things you own end up owning you.